Well, welcome everyone to the VISC for round 9 of our virtual IMSA Sports Car Championship. I'm Christian McKeesey, and alongside me today is the wonderful Tom Dillon.
Hello. I didn't realise it was going to be just us today, but welcome everyone to the stream. Should be a great race today. Road America, really nice little track actually, quite fast, quite low down.
Julian, I'm going to give you a warning for what you did out of the pits at the start of the session. Don't do it again.
And immediately we have someone being told off by Alex Skinner. quite something that quite often happens in this particular series. But yes, I think it's going to be a bit of fun today. Round 9, first race of 2021 as well, I believe.
Is it? It might be. No, I think Mossport was Mossport was Lime Rock. Lime Rock was in 2020.
Lime Rock, of course, yes.
But this race is particularly noteworthy as it is the final race of the Sprint Championship. It's the penultimate round of the championship in general. We only have the Petit Le Mans after this. So a lot of really close points fights going down to the wire here. I think DPI is the only category where the Sprint Championships all tied up nicely in a bow for Mugen, but for every other championship, both sprint and overall, it's going down to the wire here.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, and of course it's a little bit up in the air because I believe mostly it's done on overall points, so it's kind of just like an unofficial badge that the sprint champion gets. I could be wrong on that one though.
I'm not sure.
But it's certainly been an interesting season. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, there you go. So, we're in the midst of GT qualifying right now. For those of you who are new here, we do split qualifying. GT goes out first, do half of the 45 minutes. Then they get yanked in by Alex. And then the DPIs and LMP2s go out. Primarily because they are so similar on pace, they don't really hold each other up. We are just watching Jeff Close here doing his first lap. Big lockup. That corner there will be a major part of the race, I am sure. You have so much time to lose and gain in your braking, and of course, the big runoff means people really do want to push.
Now, so, I remember Christian, Unpack, by the way. We both did the ERC event here, and in my practice last night, actually, because I was supposed to be driving today, I noted that the corner Jeff's going through now is a massive issue for the understeer. And, in the prototype, at least, so difficult to get your line perfect there. And then this corner is nailed on flat in a prototype. I doubt it is in GT, but has to really ring the car around there and just try and use the curb. And what I did notice about this track is a lot of the corners really come up on you very fast. You don't quite realise that they where they are. You have to really brake earlier than you normally would, if you know what I mean, just to the nature of how these corners are on the track.
I think a big part of it is you're going downhill, especially when you think of like you're going to turn 5. That was the corner I was just talking with Jeff when he locked up. It's like you're going downhill into it, and it just comes up on you, and it's way sharper than you think. Wow, Jeff goes first with a 2:01.680. Good lap from him. So I think that's a big part of what you were talking about. We catch Daniel Kirby getting a big old drift on. Take it over to David Martin in the solo racing Ferrari. One of those cars in the championship battle. But yeah, for sure, you got to slow down more than you think into a lot of these corners, or brake earlier than you think, I suppose. And the carousel is going to eat tires and just be understeer city, especially once you start getting longer into that tire and fuel stint.
Another massive challenge for this track is turn 1 and just how fast it is of a corner.
Yeah, and there was even discussion of that in the driver's briefing because there's so much runoff area there. You want to use it and abuse it. It's not necessarily the fastest way, but it's certainly the easiest way to get through that corner without any sort of drama.
And you can quite easily pick up a little bit of mid-corner oversteer there, and the car quickly snaps around on you. I've seen loads and loads of GIFs of cars drifting it through there. I've done it quite a few times myself. It's a really difficult corner to nail on correct.
In fact, I think I've crashed the car twice in ERC Road America at that corner, so...
I think I do remember driving past you at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
When you were with no rear wing on your GT car.
4 hours straight was not a fun time there. I did not enjoy that. Wow.
Well, my engine blew up at 6 in the morning. Me and my teammate did it. Just the two of us. It was quite an interesting race.
So here we sit. Everyone, not everyone, but most of the drivers, especially in the championship battle, have done a qualifying lap in GT, and the amazing thing I'm noticing is I think this is the biggest gaps I think I've seen in GTLM all season. Especially up at the front, usually we see them quite tightly packed together, but close just seems to be on another level right now, at least this early in qualifying. Not to count out Riemann, Teasdale, Hootste, or Gibson, or Batesi, but very surprising.
Well, I think in the GT class especially, or just in this endurance kind of setting as a whole, and I know it's called a sprint race, but 2 hours 40 minutes really is some form of endurance. It's longer than an F1 race distance by quite a margin. I think one of the biggest things about this is your team and how good of a setup your team can get together. How well you know the car as well, and AFP clearly know that car inside out by now. And I think it really shows in how pacey all of their drivers are.
Yeah, that's not even surprising when you think of an outfit as big and as professional as AFP. They're going to have some capacity to generate really detailed setups. Interesting, Rob Smith, or Smith, definitely not on the power through the kink. I feel if you got the GT car set up correctly, you can be flat through the kink, or closer through the kink, because he shifted down through there.
I wonder though, is it faster to not be flat through the kink with a setup and just gain time elsewhere? Though I know it does lose you a lot of time. I think in the LMP2, it's if you don't take the kink flat, it's up to 4 tenths that you lose down that straight.
Yeah, it's a very critical corner to get right. Well, here's what we could do then. Okay. So both Kirby and Close are flat through the kink. So noteworthy in their first and second.
That's surprising because the prototypes aren't particularly easy flat through the kink. Even they have a bit of difficulty on entry.
It must just be because the GTLMs are slower going into it to begin with, so they don't need as much grip to be flat through it.
I suppose that is a good point. 6 tenths though, off of pole position is Kirby.
Yeah.
That is a large gap. Quite surprising, really.
And we see Riemann. I think I was told that was... Actually, he was briefly on pole in that Team Iris Ferrari, but Close is back up top again. So there we go. Bit of a qualifying duel developing here. That's what we like to see. It's probably the furthest up the order we've seen Kirby qualifying. It's great to see him getting his qualifying sorted. He's usually good in the race, but doesn't quite have the most competitive qualifying laps. But turning that around here, Road America. And I do love the sound of that Porsche in R Factor 2. R Factor 2 may not have the strongest sounds, but the Porsche does sound quite distinct and aggressive.
The Porsche's a lovely car to drive as well. It's definitely one of the better ones in this game.
For sure. I've tried driving go ahead, I'll let you finish.
Sorry. They've got a rather nice looking livery as well of RE Racing.
It's distinct, I'll certainly say that.
Yes, it's distinct.
Woof. Not the best way, though. Through turn... Woof. Turn 5. That wasn't turn 5. I'm an idiot. That was turn 8. At the hurry downs. Yeah, I've been trying to drive the Porsche in the competition races, but I haven't gotten into enough of those.
I haven't managed to drive the competition races because you have to buy all of the content for the entire season just to do one of the races, which I found a little bit off-putting as the first.
Yeah. It's that, and the other big thing is if you have any mod packs installed, you basically have to delete them, but not just like unsubscribe from them on Steam. You have to find Studio 397's mod manager in your rFactor 2 files.
Oh dear.
And use that to uninstall it and delete it. So it's
I did one of the Tatus races though, and that was quite funny. It was on Christmas Eve though, and I was quite tired, so I didn't drive particularly well. I didn't take anyone out though. Lots of people took each other out.
Yeah, that's the important thing. Didn't take yourself out. I find with those races, like the one race I got into was the Sebring round for the GTE class, and see Tommy Teasdale pulling into the pits, abandoning that lap. And what I realized is I messed up because I thought it was going to bring me into the qualifying session, but threw me right into the race session without qualifying. So I had to start from the pits.
It is a weird system, yeah. And I thought it was going to be a bit of fun, actually. I thought no one's going to take it really seriously, unless see Michi Hoyo streaming like 4 hours a day.
Yeah, he's sees his bit, I guess.
Well, I see what they're trying to do there. They're trying to be a little bit like iRacing, and to be honest, one thing they did quite impressive with rFactor 2 was the... Now, I'm going to completely mispronounce this. The Maastricht hot lap competition they did. I took part in that. I didn't do very well. I basically got sidetracked before I could actually really put the hours in.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very well run competition. That was very fun to compete in. And I think they need to lean into that a little bit more. Like, if they have the web interface, or the web UI on that in the actual competition system, then it's a brilliant system. And I think as well, another good thing they could do is like official events, a little bit like iRacing, like the Mon and things. I know they do a little bit, but
I think they're like gonna ramp into that slowly as the competition system gets more developed. At least I hope that's where they're going. Woof, woof. Big moment there for Gabo Hoosty.
He can have a breather though. He's still got 10 minutes to go in the session, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's nothing over yet. Oh, 5 minutes, I suppose. This is the Iris car, and that is a really nice looking Ferrari, actually.
He's actually on a really fast lap too. If he can keep this together through the third sector now, or really the last corner, looks like he's set to get a pole lap here.
And I thought he backed out of it for a second then, and that last corner is one of the most difficult, probably my least favourite on the track. It really comes at you very, very quickly. He seems to have made it nice and tidy, though.
Wow, he pips Close by 0.2, so Close is going to have to go back out. He's on his outlap now.
My question would be, is Close going to really fight that, considering it is his team that's on pole position?
These are the questions. And I cannot answer.
I remember in a Formula 1 race I did once in Automobilista, I had to overtake someone driving for my own team, and it wasn't very fun at all.
Man, stressful hours. Real stress hours. See Daniel Kirby on a lap where he looks like he's set to improve in that RE Racing Porsche. He does, and he pips David Martin in the solo racing Ferrari, so David Martin also going to need to go. Probably would go back out anyways.
So it is the 777 that is on pole, followed by the 999. Daniel Kirby's in third place, and that is a moment there for the... Oh, dear.
Close moments. Your least favorite corner, turn 14. He's catching someone out again.
Is the 888. Is it?
Yep.
Yes, it is. The 888. My eyes are very good.
Trying to see this through Discord compression, so in your defense.
Yes. I'm not in the game because I took one look at the new UI and was like, nope, I'm out. I'll just commentate through Discord.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Close can get close enough here. Could he get a little bit of a toe down that back straight from this 888 Porsche?
Maybe he did. We'll see, though.
If he did, that would set him up very nicely for a lap. It's 2/10 actually from first to second.
That is actually not Jeff Close. That must be Kevin Veachers behind. Tommy D's still there. Close is still back around the bend into the back. He just got into the kettle bottoms now. Fun fact, the back street is called Kettle Bottoms. I've just rediscovered that.
I don't know any corner names on this track. I think with most American tracks,
Oof, big exit for Close there.
Ooh. Obviously, as a British person, I think with most American tracks, I don't bother to learn the names. It's more just the fast one or the annoying one.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've memorized the names of many tracks. I just kind of like have rough. Like when I see them, like, oh yes, right, that's Thunder Valley. Oh yes, that is, you know, Hurry Down. So that's Canada Corner's the one I always remember because it's so infamous at this track. That's the corner at the end of the long back straight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that I remember. And then usually the rest I'm like, oh yes, that's the Kink and that's the Carousel. And then the rest are like, oh, that one's called Bill Mitchell Bend, by the way. And I'm like, oh, okay, Bill Mitchell Bend, I guess.
I feel like the Kink is such a lazy corner name, though. So what is it? It is a kink.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna name it that then.
Guess they just went with whatever everyone was calling it. So GRG, actually in the championship battle, probably going to be looking to try and improve the position of that 57 car. Unfortunately, not to see
hurry up though with 2 minutes.
Yeah. Unfortunate not to see the 75 because they were also technically still within the overall points fight, but. Oh wait, no, Julian Vrack is there. Never mind, I am dumb. Julian Vrack's in 8th, so he's actually further up the order than Tessie is.
And of course, the GRG crew really the home favourites, but also the dark horse of the championship. But they've not been without controversy throughout this season. After Sebring, I believe it was one of their drivers that got banned from the Discord.
Yeah. I'm not going to name any names, but
No.
yeah, they're. The interesting thing is, I didn't even think GRG was really in it until I sat down with Alex a few days ago and looked at the point standings and realized GRG is there Raleigh because they always come around 5th. They are always they're in every race. They always come within they're always like solidly in the lower ends of the top 10. And they just get points. They don't win, they just get points. Although I do think GRG has won a race. I might be wrong. I feel like they have won one race.
I don't remember them winning a race, but then again, I haven't really followed the GTLM sprint too closely.
Let's see if I can find. It was earlier in this season. Let's see if I can piece together. Was it Mid-Ohio? I feel like it might have been Mid-Ohio. Anyways, something for another time. We're getting to the end of qualifying now.
Yes. 50 seconds left. So if you've got 50 seconds to cross the line to start a lap. But if you just started a lap, this will in fact be your last lap.
So this will be Jeff Close's final chance to get the pullback from his own car.
Although
He's purple in the first sector.
Birdie, yes, Jeff is purple in the first sector. Rimmen was also purple in the first sector, but Jeff is marginally 2,000th of a
GT
second.
qualifying has ended. Finish your laps. GT qualifying has ended. Finish your laps, please.
Yellow in sector 1. There's no greens further down the field. Purple from Riemann in sector 2. Waiting for closest split.
Oh no, Close lost it, that's it.
Dear.
So that'll be the pull for Ferdy Rimmon, unless somebody else is flying. For Exalts, that is something we normally see further up the field as well.
I cannot see anyone on a even green lap apart from, Zoltz at the back of the field.
He's not purple at all. Moving forward though, this is an interesting thing. It's actually interesting. I'm doing an ACC Endurance Championship, and I was talking to the commentator there, and it's interesting to see what kind of tracks you think people are aware of that you realize people are not aware of. And I feel like Road America is one of those tracks that I think would be more widely known, that is actually not more widely known, especially probably in Europe.
That's true, actually. I'd say I was speaking to my dad, who's been a racing fan all his life, and he didn't know what Sebring was, apart from Forza Motorsport 2. And that quite shocked me, because I thought everyone knew what Sebring was. Yeah. And there's that Aston Martin, actually. The only Aston I've seen on the grid, and they've gone for traditional colours there.
I respect it.
Can't quite catch a glimpse of which one that is. And have they gone for a black number plate?
Oof. Color coordination, kids, come on. Kevin Beaker's going to get a draft up to the line here.
He was in 4th place.
And he'll stay in 4th. Anybody else out there? Georgi Vittori. He's actually the... Oh, that's the ground effect AM cars. They've changed the color of that car. They're usually
and
that...
I cannot see that number plate for the life of me.
Yeah. It's 108, so there you go.
There we go.
Tommy Teasdale not really on a lap. He's way off the pace, so I think he's just coming in.
This is eating into prototype qualifying, actually. A little bit.
It will be. Yeah. So we'll see here. The thing with Road America is it's kind of like trying to set up a qualifying lap on Spa. It's similar energy, where it's like, it's a long time to do a warm-up lap here.
Road America does feel like just a slightly smaller Spa.
Yeah.
To be fair. I mean, they've even got the curb colours.
2 minutes until prototype qualifying. 2 minutes until prototype qualifying.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they start GT qualifying on the 40, and they do GT qualifying on the 45 and try to end it at 25. Then they have a 5-minute gap to get prototypes out.
That's from the race director.
There you go.
But this is always confusing me. The prototypes always love to line up for about 2 minutes at the end of the pit lane. Their tyres are going to be freezing cold.
Yeah. They like the, I don't know. They like the challenge of warming up the tires. Let's see if
I think it'll be interesting going into next season to see. I know there's been a few suggestions of an LMP3 class, which I think would be very interesting to see. But I also wonder whether the league's going to stay with this modded DPI or switch to the Cadillac that was just released.
So there's a lot of interesting questions about next season that I do not think are answered yet. Ranging from that, I know there's some want from Alex at least to explore.
1 minute until prototype qualifying. 1 minute until prototype qualifying.
Yeah, there's some energy from Alex to at least explore having a historic championship. Yeah,
I know we've got a historic Sebring coming up, don't we?
Yeah. That will be our
30 seconds until prototype qualifying. 30 seconds.
It's a post-championship special event. Oh, hi, Marius Van Wyck,
20.
and hello, Michael Vincent.
Oh yes, welcome to the stream. I also wonder if we do run the official content DPI, or whether or not we'll run it in hypercar mode as DPI V2, as it's called in IMSA. I believe that's what DPI V2 is. I mean, there's been loads of
green flag
prototypes. They all stream out of the pits now. Yep. A massive train of prototypes. That would be a GT driver's worst nightmare.
So they're the Delta leading the pack. That is actually another one of those cars that's in a championship battle that I forgot about. Probably there for a similar reason to GRG. That is a very consistent car. Who is in it right now? Trying to remember. I think it's Leon Chambers in that car. Correct. For all the ragging on the Chamber brothers we have done in this season, that car is now in the fight for the championship.
And there's even been more controversy with the Chambers brothers in the last day or so. After I pulled out of the race, Leon asks if their car will get the second slot, and Alex says, "You signed up 24 hours before the race."
Oof. Oof.
I find to be a very interesting thing, but they're in the race nonetheless. And what's our attendance actually? If I look down that race, 33. That's a decent field.
Yeah. Decently big field here today. IMSA would beg for these numbers.
It's been nice to see this championship grow, actually. I think me and you, you especially, I know back in June when Alex was joking, saying I'm going to make a VISC, an IMSA league. And, yes, a few months later, and we have 33 people turning up.
I know. Decent energy behind this. It's great to see. The funny thing about it is it kind of makes you wish Daytona were at the end of the season, not the beginning, because that's the race you really wish you had a giant field. But we had, like, what? I think we just barely got 15 cars out for Daytona.
I think we got 18. I think the biggest problem for that is, and I know that's the reason I didn't race at Daytona, it was actually because there was a VSRA race on the same day, and it caused a lot of people to have a few scheduling issues, meaning they had to pull out the race entirely.
Yeah.
I know we couldn't find someone to get the stint in, but that race got cancelled in the end.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And that caused a little boom in the field. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because I feel like next week in ERC's Daytona, that's going to be basically what VISC Daytona should have been.
Yeah.
But Daytona is a very, very good event, nonetheless. I sincerely hope we run it again next season.
Yeah, I would love to see us continue doing how we've been doing VISC next season. It would be great to have, I don't know. It's an interesting question as we see Leon Chambers abandon that lap.
I'd love to see some more endurance rounds as well, actually.
Yeah.
I know they've moved real life IMSA, but I feel like a few more endurance rounds would actually pad out the championship quite nicely.
Yeah.
Because I know, especially for me, I feel like that going to some of these more obscure tracks like Detroit and Lime Rock. I know Lime Rock's not that obscure, but I think going to a lot of those tracks was a little bit of a hindrance in a way, especially sprint rounds, because no one really knows the tracks, because everyone knows what Road America is and things like that. So I think a few more endurance rounds on the big American tracks would really help the league quite a lot.
Yeah. I find it sad we will not get to see Laguna Seca on the calendar.
Well, I should be undisqualified now. In future, please message me over TeamSpeak. Thank you.
Yeah, Laguna Seca's one would have been great to have. See, David Kaloxai sounds right. Wow. First in LMP2. This is the interesting thing I've also found this season, has been watching these newer drivers come in and then completely upend the, like, traditional order of things. That being said, Kaloxai's not in a car that's particularly known
to be honest.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry. TeamSpeak must have a delay or something, because I keep cutting people off on this. But I always think, and it is probably one of my biggest regrets, as we look at Sean Jones in the Valle Esports number 3. He was second in practice, actually, I believe, over the week. But one of my biggest regrets, actually, from this series is not actually getting a proper entry together, because it feels like a really nice not easy championship to win, but very competitive championship that smaller teams could quite easily come in and get a good dent on it.
In a way, that to me is like the spirit of American racing in so many ways, is having this sort of space where there are still powerful teams, but you can still see small teams win the big events.
Yeah, I think everyone roots for the underdog. Like, and obviously in this league, you've got your big teams like AFP, and you've got 360, and you've got even Mugen to an extent. But we've had the little stories of the smaller teams, like I don't think they'll like me saying it, but GRG. They have that sort of 70s Formula One privateer energy.
Yeah.
And I think that's really quite good, and probably really the magic of this league in a way.
That is very true.
You're riding on board with one of the LMP2s. That car
Farkas. The 2Cs car. Don't think I've seen a 2Cs car before.
Now, Farkas is a very, very good driver. Into that final corner I was on about, that's really difficult to spot your braking point. He's managed to get it nailed on, use a bit of the curb, and then curb on the X, and it's so easy to run wide like he's done there, but he's not lost a lot of time down this back straight. It's going to be very interesting to see this. It's not going to be a very fast lap, and I wonder if he's going to go again. It looks like he might be. And turn one's where it gets really interesting. And we're now looking at another element.
This is the 360.
Now going down into, I don't know where we are on the track. There we go, sector 2.
That's turn 5.
Turn 5, oh. I ought to get a track map up, to be honest.
That's fair. Turn 6 to the incredibly difficult turn 7. There's so many like corners that catch you guys. You see one of the cars go off wide there through turn 7 into the hurry downs. Turn 8.
And a lot of the corners actually look the same on this track.
I think it's because you're kind of just in a forest, really.
Yeah, I suppose.
This is really like a campsite with a racetrack in it, because there's a really popular beach at Elkhart Lake here, a lot of campgrounds. So you're just literally driving through a forest in the Midwest. And through Canada Corner there, such a challenging drive. To me, Canada Corner is the difficult one. Through Thunder Valley, into the Bill Mitchell Bend, that is a mouthful. Turn 14, all sorts of out of shape. Locking up the rear tires, gonna hurt his run onto the main
rears
stretch.
are a nightmare on this LMP2 car.
See, this is the thing, right? I find the Ligier so much easier to drive just because I find it I find it much easier to keep the rear under control.
The Ligier is a lot more fun to drive, and it's actually one thing I wonder whether we are going to run the Ligier next season. In this series, I think personally, I'd love to see on the grid the Ligier LMP2 and the new DPI in hypercar mode as like a kind of pseudo LMDH class. Whilst I don't know if it would be the most realistic or not, it would certainly be very, very fun.
It would also probably solve the issue of the LMP2s and the DPIs being a little bit too close to each other.
I don't know actually, because from my experience, without a setup, the DPI in a hypercar mode is actually slower on Le Mans than the LMP2 with a setup on.
Curious.
Although then again, that might just be because I did a couple of laps in the DPI, and I've done hours in the LMP2.
That could be it.
I want to think that, but I know the hypercars are slated to be doing 330s around Le Mans, which is roughly on pace with the LMP2s actually. So I don't know if it will solve our issues.
Oh, unfortunate, Chief.
Yes.
So Martin Ovad. I got called out by Alex for having my bad pronunciations. Now I'm hyper fixating on it. Bo Sim Racing, another team we have not seen. I don't think we've seen Martin either. Going through that final corner there. He's in 4th right now. Pretty respectable. He's beating some series regulars right now.
And I wonder if anyone here is using this as an extended test session for the still unconfirmed dates of Petit Le Mans.
Yeah.
A 10-hour race around Road Atlanta.
I shake in fear at the thought. But thankfully, I don't have to run it.
And to be honest, I admit to getting Road Atlanta and Road America confused in the past. You don't understand the annoyance I had when back in ERC. I was told that we were on Road America, not Road Atlanta. I need to stop saying 24 hours of Road Atlanta. This is one of the DPIs now.
It's the Epic Racing. Epic Racing's had a really, really good run since they joined us at Mosport. They've been immediately competitive. Actually, they joined us before Mosport. They joined us at Watkins Glen, and they won their first time out. Then they won at Mosport.
Yes, I remember the Watkins Glen race,
Yeah.
actually. That was where that incident happened on the final lap between two of the...
I think it was the Finavond and the GRG DPIs.
Yes. And I know GRG were really annoyed at that incident, and even the race director said there's actually nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was just hard elbows out racing on the last lap.
I think on any other lap, though, it probably would have been a bit over the line.
Yeah. But that's when you do your dumb moves in endurance racing, is on the last lap. Every other lap before that, it would be over the line.
Yeah, that's probably about right. I think it's... I think sometimes you have to get your elbows out, though.
For
And
sure.
I don't think that should be discouraged. And I think a lot of the harsher penalties we're getting for in various leagues now for, you know, that dirty driving, but not necessarily dirty, just poor driving. I think a lot of it does discourage that kind of elbows out racing a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to see Alex being kind on that particular move.
Yeah, Epic Racing. This is probably a team that wishes they'd been here since the start, because they probably would be very, very competitive in the overall championship if they had been. But we'll see. Vincent got in that car right now. He's fourth, and he's improving, but he's still way off the pace. That's a really shocking gap in the first sector for the car in fourth. Lost some time in the second sector, though.
And this is going back to what we were saying about Daytona being at the end of the season, the start of the season, not the end of the season. I think there was a massive haul of points for some of these teams that perhaps wouldn't be up there in the championship just because oh dear.
All that dirty air coming off the LMP2 he was trying to follow too closely, I imagine.
He's going to have to report his lap. This is the AFP
Callum Hamley
90,
in that car.
I believe. Callum Hamley, who interestingly in the general chat in our Discord was asking, he had to ask the race director which car he was in for the race, because he's been driving for Valle, and for those who don't know, Valle or Valle, apparently I keep getting pulled up on my pronunciation by the Italians. They apparently, quite literally, were a junior team for AFP in. So, very interesting to see how Valle have come on.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to have a junior and a senior team. And sometimes that a junior team can outperform the senior team. They've definitely done it in a few of these races. Ken Soldveld gets that car to 8th. Not enough to get that car onto the timing board that you see on your screen, but that car is up to 8th now. It was in 13th, I believe. VMS Sun Edits racing car. You know what I only came to fully appreciate quite recently is that there's two Sunnevelds. I was like, wow. I was in my head, I'm like, man, I feel like I saw Sunneveld further up the order. I'm like, oh right, Gis and...
Oh, there is as well. There's Antoine and Gus.
Yeah, are they related? I don't know. The last time I asked this, they were brothers. That was for the Chambers brothers, so...
I feel like Sonneveld is a very, very specific last name.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things like Sean Jones where, like... I mean, I saw some Club 100 kart racing with an S. Jones the other day. Mm-hmm. So Jones is a very, very common name, but something like Sonneveld, unless it's just a European name that we don't know about.
Yeah, it could just be Scandinavian or something. Here's another car I have not seen with a driver I've never seen. Varga Mate in the Future Sports. LMP2 right now.
And breaking news in the last minute, I'm not sure this is completely allowed, but Eric Kumadi will not be racing for the Valle Esports number 33. Instead, it will be Mika Akimi.
Huh.
And it does make me laugh about the Valle AFP relationship, because if I'm correct, AFP have kind of used the Valle partnership to get a couple more cars in the ERC than they would have elsewise or otherwise.
Yeah.
And that was rather funny. Of course, one of their cars getting disqualified in that race for having the wrong number on the number plate.
So here's an interesting thing. This is like something I would bother AFP about going probably next season. I wouldn't care now. Is all their GTLM cars have 999 on them. So you can't tell in a flash whether it's close or Vikers without looking at the name. Or Features. It's Features. I'm sorry. I know it's Features. I just keep saying Vikers. But yeah, I would get on. I would get on people's case about that. I don't know if I disqualify them, but I get on the case about it.
The thing is, it's not even that difficult to change the number. You don't even need the PSD file. I mean, all of my cars now, I mean, they've been using the same DDS file since October 2019. It's not difficult to just quickly edit a DDS file, and it looks fine. And I know we've probably got a few livery people in the chat shaking their fists at me in anger.
The Sonnevelds are brothers. They're from the Netherlands. There you go. Thank you, Rob Smith.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
you were right on the Scandinavian front.
Yeah. But yeah, as someone who makes liveries, I can confirm changing the number on a livery is not hard. So, here we sit. 2 minutes left. Kind of getting into the real drive or die hours. Holy shoot, I did not fully appreciate Bertalan Savagna has over a second gap has over a second in DPI. That is a massive gap. Like, I get it, this is like a minute 47 lap for that class, but still, a second over that time is really big. In fact, Callum Hambley is between Bertalan Savagna and Martin Ovad, so Mugen looking to smash it out of the park in DPI this time around.
We have had a massive, massive boom in LMP2 cars. I do not remember there ever being this amount of LMP2 cars.
Yeah, this is a lot, especially for IMSA. This would be massive. Like, they do not usually have this many LMP2 cars. This is a lot.
I feel like Endurance this year, though, in general, doesn't have very many cars. I mean, if we look at WEC, they just released their entry list, and they've got 4 GTE Pro cars.
Oof.
2 of which are Ferraris, and 2 of which are Porsches.
I think we're seeing the accelerated death of GTE and GTLM, though, right now, unfortunately. I think we're going to just have GT3 Pro and AM by 2022, 2023, to be honest.
Which I don't really like, because GTE cars are 15 times better than GT3 cars, for me, in terms of racing.
Yeah. So Martin Ovad can have one last chance to try and hip Bertalan Savagna off the pole. This is a really good first run, though, for the Bo Sim Racing team to be up the order this far in qualifying. But here we go. Final chance. He's got it within 9/10. Still a big gap, but we'll see what he can do as we're heading down into turn 5. All tidy, no running off the track there. Through the always enigmatic turn 6, that's the word. Through turn 7, gets a lot of the grass on the runoff there. We'll see if that hurt his time. He is up, but he's still quite far off. Oh, big lockup, that's it. Just pushing too hard. And that will be the end of his
bitter disappointment for him.
Well, on to the DPI Sunveld. That's, yes, Sunveld in the Valle. Going to be trying to catch Ovad and get that car onto the front row. Did improve in the first sector. The leading Acura. Into Canada corner, he's improving, but we'll see if it's enough. Still he's 5/10ths off of Savania through the second sector. Now here we go, turn 14. Very easy to get this corner wrong, but it's so important to get it right given it's the run up onto the long straight. He looked pretty neat and tidy, though, did his. Yes, Sunveld. Here we go. Up to the line. Where will he be? That will put him no further up the order. David Kaloksai. I'm going to have to say that name so many times before I internalize it. In the Mugen, though, he's not improving. Martin Farkas just came into the pits, so that's it. That is qualifying, folks. Bertolet and Savania getting that car on pole.
Now, Farkas is well known for purposely qualifying at the back of the grid. He loves a good recovery drive, does Farkas. And of course, on that news of the driver change in AFP, Mika Hakimi coming in, obviously with that just being announced 8 minutes ago during qualifying, as we go to warm, people immediately out on the warm-up. Of course, Hakimi is actually a Toyota Junior driver in real life.
Yeah.
So, VISC's claim to fame.
We've got real drivers, you see? You can do it too. On that note, okay, this is a complete tangent, but I just think it's wild. The SRO is going to give people championship points for competing in esports events.
Now, as someone who's currently commentating on, and I only use the word loosely, but I'm going to call this an esports event. Because I suppose it is. I mean, if you think about it logically, still call a grassroots football game a football game. So we'll call it an esports event. I think it pretty much makes a massive mockery of the sport. I really do. I think it's absolutely disgraceful that the SRO think that it's a good idea to have esports. Because as much as I absolutely love sim racing, and I think it's a completely valid form of motorsport, you've got to remember that it is, in fact, at the end of the day, it is a computer game.
It's a different discipline, basically.
Yes, basically. It's, as much as we all take it seriously, and it's a fun event, and I mean, it's amazing to watch sim racing, but at the end of the day, it is not the same, and you can't really compare someone hurtling themselves around a track at 200 miles an hour to someone doing that on a computer. It just, of course, it takes a lot of skill to be in sim racing, and I'm sure a lot of the skill carries over. I mean, I know for a fact that since I started sim racing, I improved quite a bit through my karting, and I don't think that it necessarily is a good thing, though, that we're trying to make sim racing comparable to real racing.
Yeah. Especially because I remember there's a video, and I'd have to find it. It was from a guy who'd gone up through, I think he got into F2 before he ran out of funding. And he ultimately came back and he started doing iRacing. He got into an iRacing esports team. And what he was saying basically is iRacing and sim racing in general is... Whoa, that was interesting. iRacing and sim. Wow. Okay, Alex Hallow's having some connection issues. I think.
He streams a lot, does Alex? So I imagine that's probably got something to do with it.
Okay. It's like, woof, that's some energy. Yeah, sim racing, all fun and good, until you get to the highest levels where you start having to drive radically differently from how you would in real life, because at some point you start playing against the spreadsheet instead of like driving the game for its own sake, and I think that's where my big concern comes from.
Biggest problem for me is that every physics engine has its bugs. So when you get to that top level, you start to drive around the physics engine, not the car.
Yeah.
For example, if you look at rFactor 2, I can guarantee that every team, not every team necessarily, but most teams will be running completely minimum tyre pressures.
Yeah.
Because that's a bug in the rFactor 2 physics.
Minimum tyre pressures, ridiculously low downforce. The anti-roll bar in the rear is going to be way softer or detached, which it shouldn't be. Yeah.
And that's slightly annoying. And, I mean, it gets to the point where sim racing is a completely valid form of competition and it's a good form of racing. I mean, I'd say that an endurance 24-hour sim race is a unique challenge in its own right. Like, if you win the 24-hour Le Mans on a sim race, obviously it's nowhere near winning the actual 24-hour Le Mans, but it's still a valid achievement. You can still be proud of yourself. Just because of the sheer endurance part of it, you still have to endure quite a lot. You know, it's by no means easy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually comparing that to real life, I think it's okay that sim racing is different to real life. And this is the same thing with something like most esports. People try to compare it so much to real life, and there's no point. You're allowed to have your own form of competition that's slightly out of the box. You don't need to be exactly like real life. I think having championship points is I mean, you could get to the point where a team that doesn't do the sim racing at all can lose the championship to a team who won a sim racing event.
Yeah.
And I think that's awful.
My only guess for why they would do that is because they want people to legitimately watch. Well, they want the real teams to take part in the sim racing stuff to promote it, because they think it's useful, but even then, I don't know if that's what I would be doing. Because I think it does another thing, right? That does another not dangerous, but damaging thing, I think, to sim racing on its own. Because in sim racing, the people who are good at sim racing, they should be allowed to be the people who are good at sim racing and be respected for that.
They don't have to be real drivers.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of, just because you're a good sim racer doesn't mean you're going to be a good driver. And there's a lot of very, I'd say, misinformed people who say that sim racers, I've seen people say F1 2020 drivers should be allowed actual racing seats. And they always point to likes of James Border and Jarno Opmeer. What they seem to forget is both of those people, before they got into, for example, Baldwin's just got his GT seat that he did really well in. He had real life experience before that. It's not like he went straight from the sim.
Yeah.
A lot of these pros that are moving into actual racing, they had experience beforehand, and the reason they were in sim racing was because they ran out of money, basically.
Yeah.
So, I think sim racers, maybe there should be competitions where they're allowed tests. But I think there seems to be a lot of devaluing on the skill it takes to drive an actual car compared to a virtual car.
Yeah. That is 100% true.
We've got someone who wants an interview, or doesn't want an interview. Tobias Blumshein needs an interview. So we will... I can't drag him in.
Dip down to him then.
Yes.
Channel switched. User joined your channel.
Okay, so Tobias has been banging on the door of the commentary booth for the last 5 minutes. What's going on?
Hi. I can't do an interview. Well, nothing really. Well, I've got 7th, not happy. Big bad Boo. No, not happy. But it's close, so yeah. Should be good between me, Alex Hallows, and Leon Chambers, and, well, Violet within that car, so yeah. Looking forward to it.
It's good.
Mm.
So knowing this is a 2 hour 40-minute race,
Mm-hmm.
7th seems like it wouldn't be that bad in LMP2. What's the big moment there for Vince Scott as we speak?
Well, the thing is that I think I can get P5, and I'd like to push myself a bit more than I am. And I'm a bit more aggressive, especially if this is my first race for 360. So I personally think that I should be doing better than I actually am currently. It's just my mentality, really. Aiming to hope. I mean, my ultimate goal is to try and get a podium. I haven't had one this season. I think this would be perfect to get one. So yeah, it's just me trying to pressure myself into getting something better.
That's fair. Playing the mental game. Mental game. Well, at the end of the day, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Definitely.
And, getting past 6 cars, I think you can do it.
The 360 team, thank you. The 360 team, though, in general, has been doing very well. We've got Damir, who's first race top 10, very well, top 10, P11, P10, something up there. Very brilliant start from him. Honestly, proud of that guy. That one. We've just generally had a really good time. Aiden, he's in a different sign-up as CDR, but he owns the 360 team. Bit behind me, so yeah, I'm generally looking forward to it, and I think we can do well. So.
Oh, there you go. Now you got something to look forward to. Best of luck out there, Tobias. I'm gonna try and let you be free since we're getting close to the forming the grid up.
Yeah. Have fun commentating.
We'll do our best.
Yeah.
See you around.
See ya.
Channel switched. User joined your channel.
Impromptu pre-race.
That was a brilliant pre-race interview.
Yeah. Always good to hear the
And we're
drivers.
rating for the grid now. And can I just say, that was the most unexpected British accent I've ever heard. I did not expect someone with a name
Okay, guys,
Blumshein.
we'll be moving to the race session momentarily. Good luck to all of you. Good luck.
Do you have a British accent?
Anyway, in other news, for those of you who are sim racing people in the world of sim racing, as I assume you are watching a sim racing event, the iRacing split that Jimmy Broadbent was meant to be in has the Daytona thing. Servers crashed. They've not started yet.
Oof.
2
Oh,
hours
that's
late.
great. That means I will miss less of it than I
Just as
thought.
a note for GT drivers, Mika Hakimi will be needing to come through. So before you guys move off the grid, I'll be allowing him to go through the middle of you. So GTs, do not move off the start. Thank you. Mika, please go through the GTs under pit limiter, and then you'll be allowed to speed up to catch the back of the train.
This is the particular thing about drivers who are good in real life versus sim racing. Now, Mika Hakimi obviously got his start in sim racing, and he's actually decent in real life as well. So I suppose there are cases.
Yeah, Mika,
where,
go on the grass when you go past them.
I suppose there are cases where my hypothesis doesn't exactly.
The thing is, like, I think it can give you a basis if you are planning to go through the junior categories,
Yes.
but just because you can drive a virtual
Prototypes
P1
formation
car.
lap. Prototype formation lap. Stay on the pit limiter. Single file.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the point. Just because you can drive a virtual car doesn't mean you can drive a real life car. But I think it definitely gives
Okay,
you.
we're going to abort this and we'll restart. I believe one of the car's engines has not started, so we'll restart this.
always bind a start button, kids.
Yes, always bind a start button, especially if you're racing LMP2.
Yeah, because these engines will cook.
Mika, just a heads up, mate. Don't roll back off the start, just in case you get a penalty. You'll be good to roll back and then drive past on the pit limiter when the prototypes go green. And then you can catch up and then go back on the pit limiter, and then we'll sort the GTs out from there.
But yes, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. You definitely get a lot of the theory in sim racing, but whether that can translate to real life is a completely different thing.
Yeah. Man, I wish I briefly bought a go-kart. I think I was too old to really be anywhere in racing when I first got a go-kart, but I wish I'd been more. I wish I'd done competitive sim racing before I tried to get into go-karting, because I realize now there's so much theory I didn't have then that I have now.
Yeah. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff with the karting, I obviously only do rental karts. As
Prototype formation lap. Prototype formation lap.
I don't know how it is in the.
Single file, please, in order. Single file, please, in order.
I don't know if it's.
Yeah,
how it
Mika,
is
you are clear to
in the
overtake those
States.
GTs. Oh, you already have done. Brilliant.
Boy, got
Just
a
slot in
car
behind
that did not get to the starting grid.
the prototype there.
Oh dear.
It's Rob Gibson in the RE Racing Porsche. Tragic
Hopefully
there.
he gets that started.
Yeah.
We may have to do another restart because I have a feeling that John has forgotten to keep his engine on the grid.
So in the same way that the Daytona 24 hours is 24 hours of waiting for the 24 hours, this is 2 hours and 40 minutes of waiting for the 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Well,
Here at the VISC.
let's take the moment to go through the starting order then. Oh, restarting again.
Remember, prototypes, especially the DPIs, leave your engines on.
Okay, well, back to the waiting. People forgetting to keep the engines on. But yeah, you got. I feel like you should have an ignition and a start button bound anyways if you're in a prototype, because what if you have a long stop? You're just gonna burn the engine out. But
Exactly, especially with how fragile these engines are. As I found out at this exact track, actually.
yeah. On the note of the track, this is a really, really good port from the ACC version. Not ACC, AC. Although I do wish ACC had Road America. But yes, it's a port from the Assetto Corsa mod. That
You probably have to pay for it, though.
yeah, that's true. That is
I mean,
unfortunately true.
I load up ACC, I'm like, oh, I'll do some Bathurst, famous GT3. Oh, no, never mind, I have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Maybe now, finally, we'll be going.
I believe in us.
Prototypes, green flag formation. Prototype formation.
Oh, I thought the
Single
Forza 2
file
had a
in
bit of
order,
issue
please.
there.
Single file in order, please.
So Gabor
This-
Visti and Joe Brown were the two caught out by that.
This is one of the very rare moments where the formation lap is more difficult to complete than the actual race.
We got Bertrand Savagna on pole with Martin Ovad in the Bow Sim Racing number 42, his Sunveld in the EC Val number 6, and then we have Callum Hambley. Not Callum Hambley, that is it. No, it's, wow, it's a gut. John Weisercheck, Nick Scott Dixon in the Epic Racing number 66, and Damir Karutko in the 360 Motorsport number 36 DPI. There you go, that's your DPI starting order. I did not notice 360 had a DPI entry in this race until warm-up, actually. I missed Damir.
Okay,
Karutko.
GTs can begin their formation lap.
Then we take it on over to LMP2, where it's Callum Hambley on pole in that AFP, David Kolsky in the Mugen Sim Racing number 22, Sean Jones in the Val number 3, and then, man, this is moving way too fast on me. That is Varga Mate. Then it's Leon Chambers in the Delta Autosport number 56, Alan Hallows in the Val number 33, Tobias Blumshein, and wow, it's moving so fast on me, and it's Aiden Coleman. Then we get to Olaf Vanderstam, Martin Farkas, and Bence Horvath.
Vincent is
Future
being allowed to
Sport
go back
nine.
to his grid spot, which is between Sean Jones and John Wieczorek. So if you guys could make room for him there, this was due to a game issue, and we don't want to restart again.
Fair deal. And then it's
That was
Mika
the most cut-off lap ever.
I know. Then we get to Mika Hikimi, who's in the Val in 13th. Although I don't think Mika Hikimi got to qualify, so that is not because of the lack of pace. We know Mika Hikimi will be moving towards the front.
I don't think there was a lack of pace, more the lack of signing up for the race 25 minutes ago.
Yeah. Pretty much. Then we bring it on over to GTLM, where we had a great qualifying battle between Ferdy Rimmon and Jeff Close. Jeff Close owns Ferdy Rimmon's car. Dan Kirby in the number 28 RE Racing, and Kevin Vickers in the AFP as well.
Apologies, I had the RF2 was saying that it was someone else when it wasn't.
The result, David Martin, Tommy Teasdale, and Julian Vrack in that GRG. Some close championship fights there. Someone else in that championship fight is Daniele Battesi in the number 57. He's got Gabor Hutzti with him on that row. Nick Newcomb in the number 36, 360 car. And then we bring it over to the final round where it's Joe Brown in the Hex Sim Racing 170. I think that's their second race with us. Rob Smith.
Freeman, you are allowed to accelerate and close up slightly to the back of the prototype field. I'll let you know when to go back onto pit limiter. So GTs, be aware you are closing back up to prototypes. I will come over TeamSpeak again to tell you when to slow down.
Someone's got to remind me to slow down the speed through which it rolls through the qualifying order, because holy shoot, I am just like blah, 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 the whole time. So there we are. On the back straight with the DPI field. Going through the kettle bottoms.
GTs, please proceed to go back onto pit limiter in single file. Pit limiter single file GTs. Thank you.
Going towards Canada corner in this warm-up lap. Quite a colorful set of prototypes. So I've just noticed, I just fully appreciated, it actually does put the DPIs and prototypes in
prototypes
together.
Please begin to double file. Leaders on the inside. Leader on the inside. Prototypes double file with the leader on the inside.
Alex Skinner trying to take over control of the warm-up lap qualifying. That's fair, yes.
Alongside, that means you're on the right-hand side next to the AFP car. Thank you.
He sounds like a year one school teacher.
He
when
does.
Trying to get
prototypes that are struggling back are allowed to close up to the other prototypes.
You know, good boys and girls, stay in single file!
We're getting ready for the start though, and it is going to be a very, very interesting start indeed. Interestingly,
prepare for your green flag.
The top two in DPI
GTs,
on
please,
medium
double
tyres
file with the
compared
leader
to
on the
softs.
inside.
And this is going to be a very, very interesting thing, and that Valle car behind is very far back.
Yeah.
Prototype green flag.
So here we go.
And
wow, really big jump from Sunveld.
There's Sunveld crossed before the start-finish line there, which means I don't think that's a valid position. You might get a penalty for that. But they roar down into turn one of the most difficult corners on this track on the first lap, and that Valle car
GTs, prepare for green.
on the outside. My TeamSpeak just did something there. Just screamed down the mic.
GT green flag.
We've got green flag in GT. Watch that. So it's the AFP car. Slipstream into second place.
Jeff Close and Kevin Vickers. Single file into turn one. They're all clean in good order.
As easy as you like that. There's a car going slow back though. That's just a minor inconvenience. That Iris car immediately coming under pressure from the fourth place car. And as I was saying, the top two DPI on the starting grid are on medium tyres compared to the rest of the field who are all on softs. So they're going to be a little bit slower throughout the first part of this stint, though later on I think they'll be much, much faster. Perhaps they're trying to pull off a three-stopper, I think.
Perhaps.
I don't see the benefit of it. Unless they... Yeah, I don't think there is any benefit of it, in fact. But that is going to be interesting. I think Gus is going to find himself under a little bit of an investigation. He did pass both the leaders before the start-finish line, which I don't think is allowed.
Yeah, I don't know what the ruling will be on that.
Board with the Iris car now, who's really fallen down the order in this first lap or so. I'm trying to find him on race view. He's all the way down in fourth now, starting from second on the grid. He got swallowed up on that start. A beautiful little bit of teamwork from the AFP cars, showing, well, probably something. In fact, he's going to go down the inside. I don't think it's quite going to work out for him. The space hasn't quite opened up. It's too much of a fast corner. He's going to bump draft him pretty much through there, and there's a little bit of contact. And he needs to calm down, does this Iris car, and he needs to just use that Ferrari power down the straight to slipstream past. Really, he's now under pressure from the GRG, but they could be making it 3 wide here, I think.
Yeah, but Tessie got some pace. The Iris car going to have to fall back into the draft behind Gabor Hudsti. I think he's going to stall out, and that's going to give a chance. But Tessie here, not quite close enough. But, oh, wow. Riemann is close enough. Riemann, I'm sorry. So here's an interesting thing. You were just talking about the teamwork of the AFPs on the start there. As we see Riemann complete that pass on Gabor Hudsti. You will notice Kevin Vickers has fallen out of the top 10, so we missed something when I jumped back over to the DPIs. Because that AFP is quite out of position now. The one of Vickers, he's fallen down to 29th overall. See this great battle. Ooh, some lock there from Gabor. That's going to give Batessi a run there, and that will let Batessi through as well.
Brilliant battling and clean battling, more importantly, from the GTs early on.
Yeah. Love to see it. That's going to let that Iris through now. As this is going on, we've got a close battle here in the prototype field. So we see that Epic Racing DPI trying to get around the Delta LMP2 car. That's Vincent Gutt and Leon Chambers there. This is technically for an overall position. Woof, big lockup using the grass. Somehow he keeps that car together, but he's going to lose a position for it. I think the 360 DPI forward. I think that's Karatko in that car.
So, battles all the way through the field in this first few laps. We've got about 2 hours 30 left. And it's certainly going to be an interesting race throughout the distance. Of course, whilst it is technically not an endurance race, we know that realistically it is. But that's not going to hold this GTLM field back, as they're already all making moves early on. Bold moves as well, as that's the AFP car of Kevin Veichers, I believe, trying to go for a move. And all the 30's already collided. And he's quite lucky that that has not turned out any worse for him. And the 75's round 2, and Theory Racing is also having a bit of issues. The AFP car's got past the 888, and 75 has just managed to get itself back going. And just as we were talking about the consistency of GRG, they go and spin it on lap 4.
Well, not their fault. That was a really ambitious
fault.
move from Nick Newcomb that was never going to be on from that far back. Big lockup from Features. I'm going to let Tommy Teasdale close up in on him. Sort of what I thought would be happening around that entire part of the track, in through the moraine sweep into turn 5. Very easy to lock up the tires. As we see Callum Hambley set a fastest lap in LMP2.
Callum Hambley definitely one for the future. I don't think he's quite there fighting for championships yet, but give it a few, a year or two, and I think Callum will definitely be right up there. In fact, in the pace of sim racing, I imagine give it 6 months or so, and he'll probably be right up there fighting for championships like this.
The big thing is, if we do have a second season, I think a lot of people will be there from the start. We're only getting in halfway through or towards the end this time.
I should hope it's bang on that we have a second season.
Yeah. One of the VMS Sun Edits, the VMS Sun Edits car, a little bit sideways in the turn 5 there, but he keeps it all together. This really, really tight battle for 7th. And look who's already up the order. Mika Hakimi already up to 7th after starting from the last position in the prototype field. The Thai Dryer is driver. Or is he Indonesian? I cannot remember. Malaysian, there we go. Wow, I'm a terrible person. I just confused all of those Southeast Asian countries.
I'm pretty sure you just went through the entire list of Asian countries and eventually hit the target.
If I say enough countries fast enough, I'll eventually hit the target. He's absolutely flying. He's going to be putting a gap on this group, I imagine, quite quickly.
GTLM best lap time 2:03 from Jeff Close. He's leading that class, is he?
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's third.
Wow. Then he.
I think.
No, I think he is leading. He is leading that.
Oh, sorry,
class.
that's my bad. Martin Farkas has made up a couple positions on Nick Scott Dickinson or Dixon.
That is a lot of name there.
We could quite easily get away with calling him Scott Dixon here and getting a lot more views.
Scott Dixon racing in the VISC.
The Aston Martin has just been overtaken. Not showing the best pace today, has that Aston, but I'm sure give it a little bit of time and they'll get into their rhythm. Interestingly, one of the LMP2s has got their headlights on in the background.
A few people have them on, a few people have them off. Just kind of, they feel it out. It's an artistic decision.
Rumour has it that headlights are worth at least 3 temps.
That's the secret to Mercedes F1 strength. It's they put headlights on that car.
Interesting thing to say from Savagna and Ovud, the two cars on medium tyres. They're both completely on pace with the rest of the class. They're actually some of the fastest cars in the class. So, still questioning that decision because, of course, you've only got to do 40 minutes on any set of tyres in this league because of the simultaneous pit stop rule. So I wonder whether that is a strategic decision and why they've made that. In the slipstream, though, is the Epic Racing car. Unable to make anything of it. It's 79. Fight for 9th position.
9th position and 5th in DPI.
We have a message in the chat.
Message in the chat.
Headlights on equals plus 150 horsepower. This could be an interesting battle actually going forward. I wonder if any of the teams are running lower engine mixtures because this
Be
track...
aware, penalties are being handed out momentarily.
Oh boy.
Right, let me give you the list of penalties then.
Poof. Big block from Karutko. Got forced to back off, look for another way through. He's going to have the outside line, but he's got some pace. He's got to run here. Go over that Sargento Bridge. I just stalled out. Might be running too much wing gut. Might be running. That might be why Karutko's able to hold him up. This would be so annoying. It looks like Gut's got a little bit more pace in that car, but I think he's got too much wing, and Karutko is just able to hold him up where he needs to.
Okay, so interestingly, so RV Racing 28 has got to stop and go for 30 seconds. That's the... Yes, that is the 28. Stop and go 30 seconds for the number 33 Valle car. That was actually to apply to the number 80 Valle car, but as that was a GTE in a GTE only round, it's been applied to the 33 because it's basically the same team. The AFP 133 has got a stop and go for 60 seconds.
Oof, that would really hurt Hakimi. He'd done so well to get that car up the order. Whoa! One of the GRGs completely missing the mark there in traffic, going off in Canada corner. Don't know who that was, but they nearly took out Karatko.
Traffic could be the decider in this battle as well. Immediately a better exit because he didn't have to swerve for that Aston Martin from the number 79. This could be the moment.
I think he's just got too much wing on that car, Vincent, because he does have better runs, but even in the draft, he's just not able to really pull up on Karatko there.
You might need to bring that down in the stop. It's also important to note, because of a little physics flaw in these DPI cars, rear wing does not affect top speed, apparently.
Huh!
The mod developers insisted that in real life rear wing doesn't affect top speed.
That's curious. Alright.
That's second-hand information though, I'm not... it's pure accusations from a former test driver of these cars.
Penalties have been applied.
So that's
So you can see a few cars coming in for penalties here.
That really sucks for Kevin Beechers because he already got taken out on the first lap, and now he's got a penalty to add to that drama. So not a fun day for the Valle driver, or the FP driver, sorry. Close battle here between Jones and Polska.
Jones is in the...
One of the Mugens and the GRG getting together. Is that Gabor Hudsti, or who is that?
FD penalty and possibly a code 80.
Yeah. Big incident there. Traffic coming into play early on here. Still that yellow in sector 2. I don't think that was Hudsti. I think that was... Oh, another accident. That's Joe Brown in a very bad place, and that car looks to be
Okay,
grabbing.
we come to code 80 in 10 seconds. No overtaking.
He has said it. The famous line has been
5,
said.
4, 3, 2, 1. Code 80 enforced.
Now, for some reason, we don't have live...
Right, turn Sonneveld, you'll be getting a stop and go 30 at the end of this for what? For that overtaking and also speeding under code 80.
So, if we had stream of VODs...
You just happen to be the unlucky one that I caught.
I don't believe we do. I would love to go through and make a compilation of every single code 80 in this league and just see how long it's been.
Oh, we do have stream VODs.
Do we?
Yep. It's on the VISC YouTube channel.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought we didn't.
We do. Would be really... The one thing I wish... Actually...
Happen to be the unlucky one that I caught.
The thing I wish that YouTube had was the ability to do what Twitch has, where you can give highlights. Because I would have cut out a bunch of stream highlights of different Alex rants.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'd also
I
love
would just like to take this moment, however, to say thank you. Keep this up. This is really good driving from all of you. Thank you.
Oh. Huh. Nice.
Well, that's like when the dinner lady comes over and says you're eating your lunch very sensibly. We have got stream VODs. That's interesting. I heard someone say we didn't have stream VODs, but we do.
Yeah, well, somebody lied. Julian Vrack is a lap down, so that axe incident he had really was quite damaging, I guess, because he's a lap down now. Here's another interesting... There's an energy remaining button, by the way. I guess that's for...
Yes, they just added attack mode in the latest Formula E update, so... Because we all know attack mode is more important than a functioning game.
Okay, drivers, we'll come back to green in 10 seconds. Back to green in 10
Clean
seconds.
VISC race. That's an impressive...
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag.
Massive
Thank you
appreciation there.
very, very much.
Kevin Beechers, your penalty will be reinstated if you serving it during a code 80, which you know is not allowed by the rules. Therefore, you'll be receiving this and another one.
Oof!
Oh.
Oof! Oof! That's not fun.
That's the thing. People know this.
Think they can get away with it, I guess.
Yeah.
So on all this doom and gloom for a lot of cars, you know who's having... Oh, okay, never mind. Removing previous statement. I guess it's still true, actually, technically. Danilo Bettesi's up to 3rd. That's a really good run from the number 57 car. He's got his teammate behind him, but he's a lap down.
Already a lap down?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do not know. They must have... They were caught up in an accident earlier. It must have been way more devastating than we thought.
That's got to be a timing issue, surely.
I don't think it is. I think Julian Vrack is legitimately last overall, as we see a whole group of cars coming together. Very
of course.
wisely,
No,
Whites are checked
I
off the
mean,
gas.
I thought you said that 3rd and 4th was a lap down.
Oh, no.
You know, that was way more believable. Oh, there's a lot of... This is the thing about these sprint race, though, that I think is the issue, really, with the driving. Because it's labelled as a sprint race, a load of the pack is a lot closer together and fighting a lot more than they normally would be, which means that when they're going to pass GT cars and things, it's a lot more difficult for them to pass them, because they're, like, basically too wide anyway.
So close battle here between Vincent Gutt, Vargamate, and Vikers. Wait, no, confusing Kevin. It's Witcherek? I don't know. Witzerek. Words. Hard. See, here's the thing that's messing me up, is I have a sense that the name is pronounced differently in whatever country. Danilo Batessi's out? Batessi was 3rd. And he's out of the race.
Oh, wow. That's surely a disconnect.
That's my shot in the dark. Oof. And Rimmon is crabbing, so he's had a moment
Okay,
as
drivers,
well.
back to code 80 in 10 seconds. No overtaking.
And the thing is, you can't blame this on
5,
driving standards. It's very easy to
4,
make these mistakes.
3,
Oh, there's another car off without a
2,
wing.
1. Code 80 enforced.
It wasn't for the Iris car, it's for that car going across the grass without a wing on.
That looks like it's the Mugen Corvette there. Who is in that car? I do not know who's in the Mugen Corvette off the top of my head right now. It's Pribik Zolt, is it? Yep, it's Pribik Zolt. Wow, lots of drama quite early on in this race. But what happened? Kevin Vickers is also out. And Danilo Batessi. So there's a lot of drama in GTLM.
Kevin Vickers is out already.
Okay, drivers will be
Yeah.
back to green in 10 seconds.
He didn't
back to
actually
green
have
in
any
10
issues,
seconds.
though. He just had a stop-go penalty.
He must have just said, it's not worth it, but...
Unless...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag.
To be honest, I don't want to accuse Kevin of anything, but that could potentially be the league's first ever rage quit.
Maybe. I am so confused as to what is going on. I have to ask some questions at some point. As this carries on, so that will move Kirby in that RE Racing Porsche up to 3rd. So really great opportunity now for Daniel Kirby. I think they've been on the cusp of podiums. I don't think the RE Racing team's had a podium this season.
The podium is one of the most difficult things to get onto if you've not already got a race-winning car. And as I was mentioning earlier, a lot of the thing about this league, especially same with something like ERC, I think a lot of this is the package your team brings together. Because obviously every team has drivers and a specific way they like to set up the car. So obviously some of these cars are, because of setup, a lot faster than others. So I think when you are that smaller team and you don't necessarily have the right package on the car, getting that first podium is very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's a lot of throwing stuff at the wall and hoping.
It takes quite a long time to learn these cars properly. I mean, one of my biggest problems in this league, when I've raced in the short time that either my schedule or actual computer has worked, that was an almost dangerous crossing of the white line for the Iris car there.
Yeah, that rejoin's given Polsky the position. Because that got Jones all sorts of out of shape. But he's going to have the run now down the back, well, down the main straight. That's really the main straight. The Moraine sweep, that's what it's called. There we go. So he's going to go back to the inside into turn 5. Polsky's going to try and defend it. Bit of contact.
Oh.
He's going to give Jones a half spin there.
I think that was definitely a racing incident,
Yeah.
looking at that straight up.
Just a little bit of side, just a little bit of door banging. So why?
I think
Go ahead.
Val would probably report that, but I don't think it's going to be a penalty. I think that's just pretty much something that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that was quite a weird incident. It seems to kind of just merge into each other,
Yeah.
the replay.
Sort of hard defending.
I'm waiting interview. Okay, we should go down to waiting for interview. Looks like Violet Pelleter is losing it in chat. Just lost the plot completely.
Alright, I guess we can go down.
Channel switched. User joined your channel.
Hello, bonjour, bienvenue. L'équipe des I don't know what commentators in French.
You're Canadian, you're supposed to know this language.
I know like the components of it, but I don't know enough of the nouns, and that keeps holding me up.
Hello.
Hello. Why have you come banging on the commentator office door? What has brought you to us?
Maybe for an interview with some of the best commentators I've seen in my years. And also because I'm in a championship fight.
That is true.
Yeah, we're battling with the Mugen car, which has been actually a little dirty in its overtakes I've seen. Especially with a move Kawashai pulled on Sean Jones just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
They haven't had the best of luck in the series from what I've seen, especially with some DNFs quite early on at CTMP. And our car's just been there in the background, just quietly being nice and consistent, bagging points, and of course, well, then putting us only 9 points behind him in the championship. So it's really all to play for still.
Very true. That's sort of the thing I was talking about in the beginning of the top of the broadcast, was about how a lot of the cars that are in the championship fights, like the GRGs, the Delta, which we're actually on board with, it's a lot of consistency over raw pace, turning out to be the important thing as we go down to the wire in the championship. So has that sort of been figured into your thinking and the team's thinking going into Road America?
Yeah, basically, like we were discussing, our main aim is just to keep it clean, keep doing what we've been doing, and let Mugen do their thing and potentially mess up or slip up like they have done sometimes. Because if that happens, then all we have to do is just bring the car home.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is, like I said, bring the car home, not worry too much about positions. Although we are trying, I do say be careful about positions, but we're also gonna try and be careful that we don't lose too many positions if we do, because if Mugen do have an incident but somehow stay in race and they fall like way out in the order, we need to be up there to potentially get them the 10 points needed to win the championship.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what the gap is going to be. If we all score, it's going to be 10 points, maybe less. Less if they finish behind us. So we're going to have to really be careful whilst trying to maximise our positions.
Very, very fair. So when are you getting in the car? What's the stint plan for you guys?
Basically just run half each, go half. Then I take it to the end, and hopefully that end is a championship. Don't know yet though. Still a while to go.
Very true. Only 30 minutes into a 2-hour, 40-minute race.
Oh wow, the time is going quick then, I guess.
Well, best of luck out there. Hopefully we'll be seeing you in the car soon, and for your sake, hopefully it'll be driving towards a championship.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good luck.
I think you'll need it more, but yes, thank you.
Yeah, probably.
Fair deal. Good luck.
Channel switched.
That was
User
the
joined your channel.
Miss Pelletier.
I mean, we just got a very, very nice compliment from there.
Yeah. Do our best. 166 cars DNF'd. Apparently. That's what Alex has said in that chat. That is Cribexalt.
Massive shame for them.
Yeah.
They were going quite nicely as well. In other news, as much as we moan about our Factor 2, at least we have a race. So that's interesting.
Is the split Jimmy Broadbent's still not going yet?
There's literally no. They're talking about cancelling it now.
Wow.
Completely.
That would suck. was planning to have
the-
that on while I did school.
I was going to have that on, like, all of the iRacing races. I always put them on. Always very fun to watch.
Yeah.
Not to race though. I am an R-Factor 2 fanboy and I'll remain as one. Even if I've spent half this stream moaning about R-Factor 2.
That's part of loving the game, is you also learn all of its flaws and depth.
Exactly. It just shows a developing relationship I have with the game.
I still remember when Empty Box, this is back when Empty Box first uploaded regularly, when he had the R Factor 2 beta on his YouTube channel, and he got me so hyped for this game. Wow. Many, many moons ago, that was. Oof. Chambers getting around Nick Newcomb's Porsche. Bit of a lockup from Tobias Blumshein. I think that's the car that Violet Pelletier is also in. Oof, all sorts of out of shape there. The number 37. 360. LMP2.
Very, very interesting last 2 hours. It is going to be half an hour into the race, of course. This is where the race starts to become more of an endurance race. Everyone's kind of slowing down and just kind of chilling into a rhythm. As a thought, for next season, I wonder, would making these sprint races unrealistic? It will be, sure. But would making these sprint... Oh dear, that is a very bold move around the outside for the Delta car.
Right when he said this is becoming an endurance race, never mind, this is a three-way fight for 5th. And cars are on the grass.
Okay, warning for Tobias Blumshein and Leon Chambers. That was very risky for both of you on that GT car. And also warning for Tobias for blocking.
Wow.
Calm yourselves down.
Alex Skinner saying it should be time to getting into a rhythm for the insurance race.
Was that risky though? I think there was a gap there. The GT car was at fault for me.
Yeah, I guess it's like, it was kind of putting the GT car in a hard spot, though, because you're both going different ways. As we see, Tobias Blumshein go wide into a corner. You really want to be getting right, because you're going into the carousel. I guess the carousel kind of neutralizes the mistake, because you need to spread out a bit anyways. We see Alex Hallows getting all sorts of out of shape, trying to follow Chambers closely in his wake. He's going to have to draft now through the kettle bottoms into Canada corner here, as you see one of the solo Ferraris there, or the solo Ferrari there. Take away any chance Alex Hallows had of getting around. As we see Chambers now duck in through turn 13 into turn 14 here. And that Ferrari will give him a bit of breathing space. Oh, a lot, because Alex Hallows goes wide into the corner.
Dirty, yeah.
Yeah.
On this car is so bad around this track. I put a few AI into the session I was doing last night, and Dirty Air just absolutely kills your pace completely.
Yeah, there's a lot of like medium speed corners around this track. This really kind of fits into its kind of being an American spa kind of energy, just because there's so many of these medium speed corners where aero push really starts to work. Bentz will have before. The side's better in it though. See, that's the kind of what you expect in an endurance race decision. Oof, it's making those a bit wide into turn 1.
Sometimes it is better to just sit behind. You don't have to make moves immediately.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this last time I commentated, but sometimes if you're going to make a move, it will always come naturally, and that is a very precarious situation to have a prototype in. But moves will always eventually come naturally in endurance racing, and you just have to be patient and just wait for the opportunity to open up. Then again, there is always room for bold moves if you need to.
settle down. Kimi trying to find a way around Horvath. We see one of the epic racing cars lighting up its tires from carousel. That will be a place trying to get the tire where. Woof! Those were big accident for one of the GRGs. That is massive. That will definitely be a movie.
Whoa.
Okay, drivers, we come to code 80 in 10 seconds. No overtaking.
That's actually Batesi, so he must have gotten that car after
5,
the
4,
disconnect.
3, 2, 1. Code 80.
This race has gone from bad to worse for the number 57. That car was in third before a disconnect.
Could be 3 Valle cars slotting behind the 888. Thank you.
And then he has a massive accident going through the kink. I could see it coming. Because you never want to go side by side with a prototype into the kink. He should have just let it go. But he tried to keep his foot in it. And you're already so on edge in a GT car going through the kink that adding any extra factors to that is basically asking for trouble. And trouble came.
I remember I had a move that was really safe on my screen into the kink on a GT car ERC, and it was completely fine on my screen. What I didn't realise was, due to a little bit of lag on the other person's screen, they had to make a massive swerving move to avoid me, and basically lose a lot of time.
Well,
And,
better to lose time than die.
Yes, that's a good point. 2 hours later, I had an almost disconnect and killed the leaders.
Oof. I feel like I remember when that happened.
Yes, I joined after my stint. I go into the MRTA chat, which is a league that do sometimes team racing, and there seemed to be this minor fan club of me screaming about the incident.
Man, rough race for Danilo Batesi. Probably trying to make some hay after that tragedy earlier on. As I forget to hit the
Okay, drivers, we come back to green in 10 seconds.
Now I've hit it right before we're going back to green anyways, but I'll remember to
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag.
And so the battle between Hallows, Chambers, and Blumshein continues for fifth in LMP2. And this has really happened at the best possible time for Hallows, because he's going to have to draft Chambers all the way up to Canada Corner. Chambers definitely holds the inside. Whoa, he's gone. He's gone way wide, Leon Chambers has. He's in the wall. With one of the GRGs in the sand trap there. Did he not warm up his brakes? That is not good. So that will take him out of that fight. Also going to hurt Weisercheck there. Blumschein's in the pits, funny enough. So that'll move Alex Hallows up to 5th and end that battle. Elsewhere on the track, David Martin in the solo sport Ferrari. He's had some pretty good runs this season. He's actually kind of out of position in 7th. I know a lot of teams would love to be sort of fighting for around 7th in GTLM, but for David Martin, I think he thinks better of himself than that. Gonna get around Vittori though. Get his car up to 6th. It is another 3 seconds up the road to Rob Smith, and I have no doubt David Martin will be giving him some hay very soon. While all of this is going on, close battle between Vincent Gutt and Damir Karatko.
And the pit window is open for the prototypes.
Yeah.
It's been open for a few minutes now, but it is very much open now. I would expect them all piling into the stop in the next couple of laps.
Tobias Blumshein getting a penalty. That must have been speeding on the pit entry where Exit Mills just finished his pit stop. That will hurt. Who's in that 5th place battle? That will drag him down the LMP2. This continues. Got going to have to draft on Karatko going down the main straight. The draft does not seem as powerful as I thought it would be.
I think it's very much the prototypes almost revving out completely on the front straight.
That's probably it. I guess would you run your Daytona package here? Because I know there was a lot of talk about running our Le Mans Aero.
No, I would not use Le Mans Aero here at all. It's probably faster, but for me, I was doing testing last night, and I actually found myself more consistent on standard aero. But I know a lot of the teams will probably be running Le Mans Aero because they'll have a more stable setup than I had. But on my particular setup, it was definitely using standard. Although Le Mans Aero is quite broken, and you ought to use it on most of the tracks that you visit.
Yeah. If you have the time to engineer all the things you have to do in the suspension to get it to be stable. This close battle for 4th in DPI continues. Karatko very consistent, keeping Gut behind him. And does not go wide candid corner, but he has a AFP Corvette in front of him. He has to go for the grass. And he's stuck on the outside through turn 13 into turn 14 now, and that will give him some space action, but his Gut gets caught behind. That is Jeff Close. And you'll see Karatko dive into the pits. So does Gut have better fuel mileage? Because getting an extra lap of fuel in Road America is no small deal at all, given how power heavy this track is. We see this 360 breaking the merge rules just a little bit, diving in front of Gut.
To be fair, as much as it's a little bit of a infringement on the rules, you can get away with little infringements like that. Just your cheeky rule breaks to gain a little advantage. I don't think there'd be too much of a penalty.
Yeah, I don't think it would be reported or anything.
I think a best example is at Le Mans. Well, not this year anymore, last year, 2020. The leader in LMP2 cut the chicane to get a little advantage against second place, and I think when it comes to something like winning Le Mans, I think that's completely understandable. He kind of played it off as a mistake though, and a lock-up, even though it was 100% intentional.
Yeah.
That DPI is so much faster than the GTs.
Yeah.
You don't even realise the braking power.
They are very, very aerodynamically advanced cars, those DPIs, and I'm sure the brakes are better for it as well.
And I can't wait to see them in actual Le Mans, at Le Mans DPIs will be.
Yeah, 2022 is when we'll see that, I think.
Yes.
So as all of this is going on, we've got two cars fighting for second and third here. We don't normally... I say this, Teasdale I think had a really good Mid-Ohio. I think he was in the podium there. But yeah, these are... It was funny, we were talking earlier about how in this league you can see some of these smaller outfits race for some really high points paying positions. And here we have a RE racing car and a AC Sim Sport car, I believe. That's what Teasdale's with, I might be wrong. Fighting for second and third in a race with AFPs and Mugens. So that is, goes to show you.
And AFP are really the giants of this series.
Yeah.
They've quickly, in the last year, become a massive, massive team. Not a massive team, but certainly a rather large team. I remember literally a year ago today, I was not exactly today, but a year ago, I was commentating on an R Factor 1 race where my team were fighting AFP for third in this R Factor 1 championship. And a year later, they're EERC champions, I believe, and looking good for a VISC championship as well. They will have to look at the standings there.
So here's the actual surprising thing. I think might be because they've had so many entries. But they actually are not the big team in any category. They have a chance at winning GTLM overall, and that's it. It's Mugen who's been the real...
I believe that would be because they didn't join LMP2 until later into the series, did they?
Yeah, that probably plays a big part in that.
And they had a few issues at Daytona as well, I remember.
Yeah.
They got taken out because I remember their big star driver Ernest Lappins wasn't even meant to drive for wasn't even meant to drive Daytona at all for AFP, and it's about 5 minutes before the race.
Yep. He came out, and the legend of Ernest Lappins began because he was way faster than everyone else at Daytona.
Those commentators started fanboying over him.
Yeah, he became the as Santino Ferrucci is to IndyCar, Ernest Lappins is to the VISC commentary team.
I was kicking myself though, because I was like, he was meant to be driving my car today. Like, we could have won this race.
Yeah. Man, that's rough. So, woof, that's one of those CDR LMP2s going off. CDR, another one of those teams you kind of forget is in the fight for an overall, well, for the sprint championship actually. Not the overall, but the sprint championship, which I did not think of. Although, going off like that, not going to help.
Of course, there's no prize money for this championship, so it is just bragging rights that teams get. Though I'd say the lack of prize money actually adds something to the championship. It kind of makes it a little bit less sweaty.
Yeah.
And a bit more fun. You know, you're not going to have teams too salty if they get taken out on the last lap for the championship.
I think they'd be salty anyway.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Well, whack. Prototypes streaming by. This battle between Kirby and Teasdale continues. But yeah, talk about Mugen. You got Mugen leading in 2 of the 3 classes right now. Birchland, Savania, and where is it? David Koloskai. Also in that moment, we had Bence Horvath retire from LMP2. So the race takes its 3rd victim. Oof.
Disappointment for them. And oh, that is a very slow Valle car.
Yeah. It's Mika Hakimi just getting absolutely streamed past.
I think he probably caught a bit of oversteer out of that corner, and that just kind of killed his momentum, because he doesn't seem to have a problem.
No, I think he's running fine.
By the way, this is obviously a virtual IMSA race, but there is an actual IMSA race today, is there not?
It's the Roar Before the 24 today.
Yes. I remember them mentioning it on the Dubai commentary, and Mika's going to immediately get back, and that is why he is one of the best drivers in this league, I would go as far to say.
I would not disagree. Here's something to think about with Mika Hakimi. He started last in the prototype field, got a penalty.
Apologies.
Yeah, he started last, got a penalty, he's back to 5th already.
And he wasn't signed up until 8 minutes before the race.
Yeah, that is a fast shooter in that car. I am sure he will make up the 16 seconds to Varga made, or 14 seconds, sorry, to Varga made before this race is over, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets even further forward than that.
I'm seeing throughout the internet a few people mentioning that Mugen are 4th in GTLM. Which that doesn't do in. They had an issue early on, didn't they? They had a crash.
Yeah.
Quite a large one too.
So, not helping their GTLM hopes. They already have the Sprint Championship. They already have the Sprint Championship, but for the overall championship, this has not been super helpful. They are actually out. Kribik Zolt's out, so that will really hurt their overall. They are lucky they they're lucky they have the championship already, or else this would really hurt them. They're lucky there is a few sprint races that would be happening.
Yes. Of course, Petit Le Mans next, which will be a particularly interesting race.
Oh yeah. I think attrition will definitely play a role in that one. For sure.
I think attrition plays a role in every.
That is very true. attrition plays a role in every race, but some races are Lime Rock Park, and some races are this.
Yeah, Lime Rock Park was the most attritional race ever. Of course, my car being binned before I could even drive it, which was unfortunate.
Saw the leader crash out there twice. Oh man, I think half the field was gone by the time the checkered flag fell. It was absolute demolition derby. So there was a yellow in Sector 1 briefly.
Probably just a grass. A lawnmower. It was like grass mower there.
Same energy. I
Okay,
guess.
drivers, we come to code 80 in 10
That
seconds.
must be
No
the code.
overtaking.
Was it the yellow? Was it code 84 though?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Code 80.
Curious as to who that was for. Could not tell you. As Vincent Gutt decides to pull over to the pits. Let's see. See, Scott Dickinson's had 2 stops already. Interesting. Positions gained lost. Been a pretty good run from Mika Hakimi, as we mentioned. Joe Brown moved up 6 positions into 7th. It's also been a pretty good run for Teasdale. I did not remember Kirby qualifying 3rd, but that was a really good qualifying run from the RE Racing Porsche. But yeah, Mika Hakimi having a really good run.
Out of the stop, Epic Racing.
Very fast. If that was scheduled and not just taking advantage of the Code 8 quickly, that would give him a big jump. I do believe he had been racing Karatko until then.
That would be taking advantage of the Code 80, I imagine.
Yeah.
Though I'm not sure there's much benefit to that.
Maybe just topping up with fuel so you can go a bit further?
Because realistically, in a prototype, you've got a 4-stopper.
Yeah.
You've got 3 to the 2-hour mark, and then obviously 1 more on the 2-hour mark to the end. So, if you take fuel now, what are we, halfway into the 2nd stint?
Yeah.
You're still gonna have to make another 3 pit stops.
I guess the thinking is, will you be able to go short on your last stop on fuel, though? And then have a shorter tire stint as well, perhaps?
I suppose on the last stop, that means you are a little bit less tight on fuel.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I personally wouldn't have made that strategy call, unless they had a bit of damage that they needed to fix, but I suppose they're still very fast in the box, so...
Yeah. Aiden Coleman in that CDR car. They are one of the cars in the hunt for the Sprint Championship points, but they're 9th. And their rival they're trying to beat is 1st. So you're going to need a little bit of drama from the Mugen of Koloksai, and they're going to need to move that car a bit further up the order. That is just in front of them, Leon Chambers, who is in 8th. So that would be a good car to overtake and start moving forward. And just behind them is Tobias Blumshein, Blumbottom, I don't know.
Where is Kevin Veichers retired, unfortunately?
He was our
Whoever
first
asked that,
retirement, in fact.
Yes, unfortunate for him.
Yeah. I do not know how that happened.
No. Unfortunate for him as well. He looked to be going fairly well.
Yeah, you got the car up to 2nd off the start. But you can't win the race in the first corner.
Anyway, update for you iRacers out there. 5 o'clock. It starts. Go register now. You're welcome, iRacing supports. Doing your job for you.
So they're just starting now? Or they're just getting
They're
into
starting an hour. Getting into the race now.
Wow.
I know. 3 hours late, is it?
Man, that is
No, it'll be 4 hours late, actually.
wow. Wow, that is... Okay, we've had some technical difficulties in the VISC, but we haven't had 4 hours of technical difficulties.
No, not at all.
So, Martin Ovad, he's fallen down the order. I think he was second in qualifying. He's fifth now. So, folks, how's everyone doing watching the stream?
Okay,
Hope you're
drivers,
enjoying.
we'll come back to green in 10 seconds.
I know, because I am
5,
Kevin Features.
4,
I wondered why
3,
Kevin was asking
2,
that.
1, green flag.
We're back to green flag racing. So here we go. This close battle between Farkas, Leon Chambers, Coleman, Hallows. So many LMP2 cars close together. That's Farkas and Hallows fighting each other. But it will be Hallows in the Valle who will go forward. Elsewhere, Tobias Blumshein trying to find a way around Leon Chambers in that Delta number 56 LMP2 car. Gonna have the draft going down towards turn 5. Through the Moraine sweep, here we go into the braking zone. Not quite close enough though. He's gonna get a bit of a lockup though.
And we are almost an hour into the race, so it's quite funny really how we're an hour into a race and already, well, there's still gaps that are very close. And it always makes me laugh quite a lot, because no matter what length, if you label something as an endurance race, the gaps wouldn't be this close, I feel.
Yeah.
An hour in. I always feel like people pace themselves differently. If you say 2 hour sprint race, people will end up with gaps this close, whereas if you say 2 hour endurance race, people end up laps down.
Yeah.
And I always wonder why that is.
Could not tell you. Tommy Teasdale in the lead in GTLM, by the way. That AC Sim Sport.
It's got to be on pit stop, surely. We are.
No, yeah, Teasdale has not pit yet.
Yeah, we're an hour into the race, and GTLM lasts about an hour there, tanks.
He's in fact the only GTLM yet to have pit. So I'm assuming Close took advantage of that code 8. He said it's close enough to the fuel target, might as well take it, instead of running it to the end and losing a whole bunch of time. Because you can definitely, because it's 2 hours 40 minutes, your last stop is going to be short anyways, by a few minutes. Nice Tobias Blumshein getting around Jeff Close. Speak of the devil. Alright, I'm going to take this moment to run away for 1 second. Leave you in the capable hands of Tom Dillon for just a few moments.
Oh wow, I've the baton passed to me. I was looking at Twitter. Looking for updates on real life IMSA. But we are here! We have got roughly an hour to go. And here we are. So, 1 hour 40 minutes to go. Savannah leads the field in the Mugen Sim Racing number 16 DPI, and this is a good battle indeed between the 360 and the Delta Autosport, the infamous Chambers brothers, probably the dark horse of this championship. They've had poor, rotten luck throughout this series. Needless to say, they're still going nicely in the championship. Looking around the outside of the 360 car, I'm going to quickly check for you who is in that. That is Tobias Blumshein, who we spoke to earlier. He's still trying to find a way past. He's gone onto the grass to try and make the way past, and that's going to allow the Epic Racing to lap these cars. I believe they're not going to be. Yes, that's indeed lapping, and now he's going to make a move on the Delta car again. Let me double check that for you. Yes, that is Vincent Gutt, I believe. Getting past quite nicely. So, the 360 car still stuck right behind and by the looks of it, I believe it's a DPI. No, it's definitely an emergency. That's completely my
Microphone
bad.
activated.
Go.
And mate,
Back.
oh, we're back. Welcome back, Christian. To the stream. We're just watching this battle continue to unfold between the Delta and the 360. The 360 had a small off, and now is trying to make the time back against the Delta.
Fair deal. Guess T-Stel's dumped into the pits. I feel he should have pitted under that code 80. He gained 3 minutes of fuel time, but I think he lost a few. I think he's definitely lost a few positions. I think pitting that late, unfortunately. Gabrahusti's also in the pits.
I wish R Factor 2 on the overlay had more of a pitch strategy thing you could look at.
Yeah.
Because it's really difficult to basically guess the stops of everyone.
I can like show how many stops people have had, but I don't know when they did them.
Oh, okay.
Oof, side by side into Canada corner there. There's no way around that Delta. This is a really good defensive drive going on.
I'm still trying to figure out when the Raw starts.
I do not know. I'm guessing it's going to be like 2:30-ish Eastern. Which will be in 2 or 3 hours, I think. I'm not sure though.
Prototype challenge is just at the green flag. I was told this actually in a few days, but I don't believe that somehow.
Let's look it up. Roar before the 24. For us, it was a 6-hour non-points race, but
I thought it was always a 6
it's
hours
1
race.
p.m. Eastern, so it's in about 2 hours.
Oh, perfect. My evening sorted.
There we go. They duck
Anyway,
around the 75 GRG. Big
If Alex is listening, wondering why we're talking about real IMSA, the actual master plan that we've got at this series is, if we keep promoting real life IMSA, eventually they'll have no choice but to make us the official esports championship.
Here's the interesting thing about that. I know from... I don't know if you follow David Land on YouTube.
I've heard the name, but I don't believe I follow him.
Yeah. He basically covers like American road racing, like that's he does American racing, so he also covers NASCAR. But he was saying how he was able to get contacts in IndyCar relatively easily, but it's so hard to get IMSA to notice you for some reason. But it's easy to get IndyCar to notice you, which I found interesting.
Which is ironic, because IndyCar is significantly larger than IMSA as
Yeah.
a series. Like, I'd be willing to bet more people know about IndyCar than they know about IMSA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, apart from... I mean, it's one of those things, like, in IndyCar, everyone knows about the Indy 500. But no one, not even racing fans, a lot of them know about the Daytona 24 Hours.
Yeah. Which is,
I remember last year for the actual Daytona 24 Hours, sitting in a golf club watching it after a round of golf. And I was watching the Daytona 24 Hours and absolutely no one knew what it was. They're like, oh, so it's Le Mans then.
it's Le Mans.
I suppose it's a little bit like Le Mans, yeah.
The amount of time that passes, I guess, is the same. I guess it's technically the same category of racing. As we talk, Jeff Close catching up to Daniel Kirby, trying to get that lead back. I think they're on the same pit strategy, Kirby and Close. I'm not
I do not
100%
remember
sure.
seeing Kirby passing Close. I'll have a look at the lap times for you.
I think it was pit strategy. Like, it had to be pit strategy.
Because I know, oh, there is a mix of tyre compounds. It's a rainbow in GTLM.
The
Wow.
thing is with this track is that I think more than almost any... It's surprising how much the tires wear of this track. I think the carousel really eats your tires.
Green band mediums for Teesdale, Newcomb and Brattori. Purple band, don't know what that is, for Joe Brown. And then blue softs for everyone else. Martin Ovad in DPI has gone on to green band mediums. Now, one thing I wish about RaceView was that they actually had a key and tell you what tyre compound means what, because they don't at the minute, and you have to kind of guess. Battle's still going on. This is going to be difficult into here. The dirty airs are really bad. I had an accident here during the 24 hours from dirty air from another LMP2. It's not so bad in GTE, obviously. They don't have much aero. Or dirty air. I'm going to say, is he going to be flat through here, Jeff? No, he has to lift.
Tiny lift, yeah. Do it
Because
flat.
as yeah, as tyres wear, it gets a bit more difficult to take things like that flat, and he's already... Those prototypes come so fast. That was not dangerous, really, from the prototype, but certainly would catch Jeff off guard a little bit.
CC leading.
Aidan Coleman's into the box.
Interesting.
He's doing this race with his dad.
Wow.
He, interesting about this, he's meant to be racing VMG for me today. And he says, I'm going to Road America with my dad. I was like, that's weird, you're going to Road America with your dad during lockdown? I don't understand how that works. And it occurred to me midweek when Jeff Close messaged me and said, oh yeah, Asian's doing Road America. I'm like, oh, he's doing Road America, he's not going to Road America.
He just wants to go to a beach in Wisconsin for some reason. In the winter. I don't know. That's a funny thing, right? Is it's actually like 1 degree Celsius at this track in real life. No racing going on here right now, not for a few months.
Of course, the best thing about the, although it isn't really, oh dear!
Woo! Big lockup from Jeff Close. Got a penalty.
Is he?
Interesting. That must have been an off track. Or that has to be. He must have caught a lot of off tracks.
Yes, that probably is the case. It's very easy to pick up off tracks on this track.
Yeah. So that's going to hurt Jeff Close, who's been dominating the first hour of this race.
That was definitely a heart in the mouth moment for the German.
Yeah. You see one of the
Oh.
prototypes taking the enlightened line there. That's a CDR of Aidan Coleman who we were just talking about.
Feeling out the track.
Yeah. She's got experimenting with different lines through the carousel, that's all.
Like he was doing Dakar.
A battle between Tobias Blumshein and Leon Chambers continues. Kiel in second.
Papa Francis Zena saying that was close to a huge crash. I think it definitely was.
Yeah.
That could have been a Code 80 and a highlight very quickly.
Yeah.
Good driving from Jeff, to be fair, to avoid him.
Although it will hurt his... So that's going to be a massive gift to a few drivers. Here's one in particular. I was bringing out how David Martin was probably further down the order than he feels he should be in that solo Ferrari. He's up to third, and with that penalty, he's going to be promoted to second. And I think that's more where David Martin would like to have his car.
Oh, there's a bit of competition set down by Jacob Reed, admin of VMG. We're about to overtake them in viewership numbers.
Let's go! Let's promote the VISC people. Chuck this around. How much does VMG get on, what do you call it, when people watch the video after the recording? It's a term for that.
I don't know, but when I used to run a channel,
Yeah.
who did we did a lot of well, we basically covered the entire dying R-Factor 1 scene.
Mhm.
I remember I used to get loads of messages saying, "Dude, your stuff is the best 1 AM binge in the world." And not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we used to get loads of views afterwards. But I don't think people watch endurance races afterwards too much.
We do have live viewership in like the 20s to 30s, but then in the
Which is
playback we'll get like
quite
300
good.
views.
I think that's because that's not afterwards. That's because we're not about to overtake them at all. They've got 4 times the viewers of us.
Okay. Oh well, we tried.
It was a good effort. It was a good effort.
Jeff Close there, still running second, so he's leaving that pit stop, that penalty stop, as long as he can.
No, friendly competition, of course, it should be mentioned. No animosity to VMG.
Very true. There we go. Jeff is pulling aside now. David Martin now just going through turn 13 towards turn 14 right now. So he'll definitely get second place from the German. And the question will be Ferdy Rimmen, who's also not too far behind. He'll probably also move forward, depending on the kind of stop. It's just a drive-through actually for close, so he might not fall that far down the order. No, so Ferdy Rimmen won't get in. You just see Ferdy Rimmen just getting to the top of the hill and passing the start-finish line in the background. So still fairly tight in GTLM.
GTLM is really quite an interesting class, and I think if we were to get LMP3 next year, that would be probably just as tight as GTLM. It's one of those classes that really is kind of a dark horse in a way. You think that, you know, obviously people who join there, they always want to go for the fastest class, they want to go for DPI. Whereas I think you actually get a lot better driving in GTLM, in a lot of sense.
Yeah. Part of it is I think it's easier to have close racing in it just because the speeds are slowed down.
Yeah.
The aero. I think that all plays into it. So you see a yellow in Sector 1 there. That clears quickly.
There's be a lot of yellows in Sector 1 that clear quickly.
Yeah. A lot of people mess up that first corner, get like a half spin or something. It's very easy to overdrive the car in R Factor 2. I do find, and I think that catches some people out, especially as the tires start to wear down through the stint. So as all of this goes on, the battle for 8th between Chambers and Tobias Blumshein continues. Blumshein a little bit faster on the last lap, 2/10 faster, or 1.5 tenths faster, sorry. But he still needs to get around Leon Chambers. That's the important part. They don't pay points for the fastest lap.
No, not in this series at least.
Very true.
In F1 they do. So
That is true.
interesting. Eh?
So here we go. He's close.
This battle has been race long, with
Has.
an hour and 27 minutes to go.
Goes to the outside into turn 1. Nothing you can do there. Will he have a run for the inside to turn 2? No, he won't. Chambers blocks that idea off. Bit of a lockup though from Chambers. That might give Blumshein another chance here.
We're 6 minutes off these guys boxing.
Yep. Pit stop number 2, I think, for most of them. Yeah, just not close enough into turn 5. Oof. But he's faster on the power, Blumshein. He takes the inside into turn 6, cuts across, and that's it. He goes wide of turn 6.
Twice now.
Oh my goodness. After all that, throws away and lets Leon Chambers right back through. Great driving from Chambers. Consistent, fair, just holding the right line through these corners, being fast where he needs to be. He's holding this faster 360 LMP2 behind him. Let's get through some traffic now. See that Iris Ferrari, one of the ground effect, one of the only ground effect Aston Martin. See that car go wide.
No teams have ran the Aston Martin apart from them, interestingly, today.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember at Daytona there were lots of Aston Martins. There's I think that's an Epic Racing DPI facing the wrong way in turn 14. He comes back onto the track right beside the GRG. That must have been, was that Gut? No, it was not Vincent Gutt.
Okay, that's going to be a warning to Nick Scott Dickerson for dive bombing a GT car and then an unsafe rejoin on top of that. If that had caused another accident, it would have been a drive-through. Just a heads up.
So that was
Breaking news: Scott Dixon, IndyCar champion, gets a drive-through penalty.
So that was actually Nick Scott Dickinson, who we saw facing the wrong way at turn 14 as well.
Unsafe rejoin, I believe.
Yeah. Lots of locking up into turn 5 there. Do not want to chalk up your tires as much as I'm sure some people are in this race. Meanwhile, the fight for third is really close in GTLM. There's 4 seconds covering Martin to Riemann. That will be heating up, and Riemann is pulling in on close. Always stressful when you're fighting your the owner of your car. I remember there was an IndyCar race at Texas. I think it was not last season, the season before. Oh, big accident in the carousel!
Okay,
oh my
code
goodness!
80 in 10 seconds. Code 80 in 10 seconds.
Wow.
That's David Martin.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Code 80.
That was an awful accident.
That is the worst place for it to happen, and I think he's lost his rear tire, so I think David Martin's out of this race.
Oh my goodness.
Is he racing
That
with
was
close?
huge.
I think he was racing with close into there.
Let me quickly watch the replay there. Wow. So, yeah, he looks to be... is he racing close with into there? I don't know. Close seems to take avoiding action. No, I think what's happened is he's stopped, because Close was being lapped by Prototype. So he's stopped on the curb with an incident by himself, and the Iris car hasn't read the yellow flags, and the Iris car has just come in and just absolutely battered into him.
Right, Martin Olvad, the number 42 Daytona Prototype International. Once this code 8 is over, you'll be getting a stop and go for 60 seconds for causing an avoidable collision with a back marker at a point of track where the race director has told you not to lap GTs in certain circumstances, involving the major incident involving 3 cars, all 3 of which were leading GT cars.
So that was actually a DPI that caused that. So he didn't lose it on his own. I would be rather angry if I was any of those cars, because that's going to be a long stop for Jeff Close.
Yes, indeed.
Take this as your final warning.
A long
That's...
stop.
I mean, we've seen... someone's done a code 80 counter.
Yeah.
for this.
Chambers got on the grass only from... Boom's going to do the same. The corner layer. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa, indeed. Yeah, not a great race for AFP and GTLM. So this will give Tommy Teasdale...
That's it. Istvan Bizko into the pit lane. You are disqualified from this race.
Woo! Who did
Wow.
you say was disqualified? Istvan Bizko.
Visco.
That's the
What did he do?
Bow Sim racing car. I have no idea. I'm too afraid to play with the replay button right now, so I'm not going to do it. Otherwise, I would scrub through it. I tried doing it at Lime Rock, and it introduced so many problems. So I'm just not going to do it. Wow. But halfway through this race, and there are fireworks now.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So suddenly, the fight for the win looks like it's going to be between Kirby and Teasdale. With Kirby having a very big upper hand at this point. Jeff Close still technically second, actually. Is he still technically second, really? No, he's technically third. That just hasn't updated yet.
I feel so bad for those GT cars, though. Innocent bystanders in that completely, and just...
Yeah, I think probably what happened is there was an attempt to force something to happen by that DPI. I think he said it was... I don't remember who he said it was, but I think a DPI tried to force something to happen that just wasn't going to happen. In it.
I will say, though, as a positive, look at the absolutely amazing day we have had for R Factor 2 as a whole. So we've got the VISC race here, 20 viewers. We've got another 21 viewers on the ground effect stream. We've got 70 or so viewers on the VMG stream. As a whole, when iRacing is so far down, this has been a very, very interesting day.
Very
for
true.
RF2.
Not quite the heights of the Le Mans race in the summer, but I'd say this is a pretty close second.
Miko, you've been DQ'd and undQ'd as you were the car behind in that pit stop, deciding to try and take advantage of that when you knew the car would probably respawn there.
I don't know what he was saying.
Neither.
Yeah. You know what's also good is this is a track that really I find makes R Factor look good because it's such a high quality track mod.
This is probably one of the better mods for R Factor 2.
Yeah.
I believe it's got some form of laser scanning on it as well.
Yeah. I think
Or
it's,
at least data pulled from maps.
Yeah.
And PPR textures too, apparently.
So, really well done track. Shows what the game can
DPI
look like.
with outer wheel, I believe.
I wonder if that was the one that got into the GTLM cars. Caused this code 80.
Would be interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, what makes me laugh is, in this game, sometimes you can drive with like a... sometimes when you lose a wheel, you can kind of still drive, but you don't realise how important that brake is, so even on one wheel, and suddenly you just go straight into a wall.
Yeah. Done that. Man. Seeing Bixo disqualified is big, because he was actually quite far up the order. So that will really shake up DPI. But yeah, GTLM is going to be a whole different can of worms. You're going to have Kirby, Teasdale, and Newcomb
Can
as
I
your
just
top
say,
three.
I would like to completely apologise to the number 10 LMP2. So I was talking about their league earlier, without realising that they're actually in the race. So that is completely my bad, and I would like to apologise to MRTI Shine Automotive.
Jokes.
I believe they're in the race anyway. I haven't seen them, but they are in TeamSpeak, so...
Yeah.
James... That is James... Babcock and Someone Stole My Car. Not sure who Someone Stole My Car is, but... Anyway.
Let's see, I have the entry list. MRTI. That's A. I want an I. That is Martin Farkas is technically supposed to be driving that car today. I don't think... Do I see a Martin Farkas?
It could be Martin, actually.
Oh yes, he is.
would-
He's in that... This is... There you go. Found it.
Yeah, there we go. That's Martin Farkas.
Ah.
Oh, well, the more you know. I did not realise that.
That
That's
is...
completely my... I assumed Martin was like a privateer, kind of just him.
It's because they don't have a livery on that car. I think that's a base game livery.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, so that's messing up my thinking about it. Pelletier is in that 360 car now. Oh, it's a Delta. She's in the Delta. Okay. So she's gonna have to keep up the fight that the Leon Chambers had.
Is it just me or a Delta a real life WEC team?
Let's find out. Delta.
Okay, drivers, we're back to green in 10
Delta
seconds. Back to green in
Autosports.
10
I believe
seconds.
Anthony Davidson drives for Joe.
5, 4, 3,
All the rest of
2,
drives them. They won.
1.
No.
Green flag. Yeah.
They? I don't know.
Don't
Might be
know,
United.
Yeah. I know United is one for sure.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Well, Pelletier, first
Alright, back
corner
to
out at race pace, and it's wide, but it's hard to get up to speed.
Especially with your cold brakes you get under code 80.
Yeah. So she has a bit of a gap to Tobias Blumshein. She'll just have to keep it. Keep the Delta dream alive. They're up to 8th, I think, now? So I think they've gained 1 position since we last updated you all on their current situation, but they're going to need an absolute tragedy to befall Zoltan Varkany at this point in the race. Because they needed to beat Zoltan, and they needed to beat Zoltan by a few positions. Because they need to overcall a 10-point gap, and there's... I think that needs to be like a first, fifth, sixth, I think. I think they need to win, and Mugen really becomes like sixth. Oh, apparently Rob Gibson wants an interview.
Oh, let's go down and speak to him then.
Let's do
User
that.
left your channel. Channel switched.
How is it going, Mr. Gibson? No, Rob. You there, Rob? You can't knock on my door, Rob, and then not be there. It's like a trust relationship we have.
This is like when someone calls you and then you call them back and they don't answer.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, there we go. Hello, Rob.
Okay, just had to switch off the push to talk.
Nope.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. How about you? You guys are having quite the day out there.
Yeah, well, we've had a little bit of a mixed day because one of our cars that I was going to be starting in, when they restarted the server or restarted the race at the very beginning, my force feedback went insane, and so I exited out, and when I came back in, it wouldn't let me back into the race. And after 15-20 minutes of trying, we were already 10 laps down, and there was nothing to be done. So we decided to concentrate all our efforts on the other car, and that seems to be working out pretty well.
Yeah, guys. I don't think you guys have won a race in this championship, so that would be a pretty big deal for you guys. You're up. You have quite a gap right now as well.
Yeah, we haven't won a race. I think we may have had a podium in the endurance, but never in the sprints. Daniel Kirby's been with us since we started the number 28 car. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got into this because I managed a endurance racing team, just an amateur one in real life for like 10 years. And then when COVID hit, decided to get into the sim stuff to see how much of it translated over. And surprisingly enough, a lot of it does translate over. So there's the growing pains that you get. There's the learning curve, but I don't know. I feel like we've been getting better slowly but surely. We've made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like we're starting to see the potential that we have start to be realized.
For sure. So what kind of endurance racing were you doing in real life before the lockdowns?
Yeah, we're all from the USA, actually all from California, and so we were doing, my brother and I were racing a Miata. We first built it for spec Miata, but then we built it as a dedicated endurance car. And then we were running the 25 Hours of Thunderhill, not exclusively, but that was our main race of the year. And so we won our class 3 out of 4 years. So we had a lot of success there. Then things like marriage and kids started to interfere a little bit with that.
I could see that.
So, started doing it a little bit less, but it's still obviously in our blood. So I'm not running the sim racing with my brother right now, just because he's become a little bit of a traveling gypsy with his wife and kid, and I'm just sitting at home with my kids. So
That's fair. So looking forward to this now, what's the kind of things, especially as someone who's like managed an endurance racing team, what's the sort of things you'd be saying to Daniel Kirby at this point with an hour and 10 minutes to go?
Honestly, whether it's real world or sim racing, you have to trust your drivers. If you don't trust your drivers, then you're not going to be having any kind of success, because you're just going to be managing them all the time. So I don't really say anything to him. We'll spot for him. We'll tell him where the cars are, and that's about it. I mean, anything more than that, and I feel like it's just going to have detrimental effects. Even to the point, so some drivers, like Daniel's actually pretty good, where you can talk to him and it doesn't really impact his driving. I'm the other way. You start talking to me, and all of a sudden I'm losing 2 seconds a lap. So I require kind of silence. But, otherwise, I'm just sitting in here running a spreadsheet on fuel strategy, just to know, where we're going to be pitting and how much we're going to need for the end of the race. And then Michael Parker, who should be driving right now but isn't. So we kind of have all hands on deck just with the one car right now. But Michael Parker is doing the spotting right now. I'm doing the strategy. So, but yeah, I mean it's really just trust your drivers, and if you can't trust your drivers, they shouldn't be on your team.
Warning again for Tobias Blumshein, and it will be a drive-through for aggressive blocking and aggressive driving.
Oh. Always exciting to hear Alex come up on the team speak.
I'll tell you what, during that red flag, we didn't do anything wrong, but I still felt like I did something wrong when we were going.
I have to agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
You're commentating, and you were afraid you were going to be banned.
Yeah. Ay. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to making sure, helping your team through this. Best of luck out there. Great to have you around, Rob.
And yeah, you guys have been doing a great job this season. I don't know if you've done this in other series, but I've been really impressed with how on it you guys are. And also, it's so easy to like throw out snarky comments, but you guys never really take the bait. So I really think you guys are being real pros, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. You have a good one.
You too.
Thank you.
Channel switch. User joined your channel.
There we go. Second compliment of the stream.
Wow. Just stroking
Well,
my
that's
ego, folks. Keep it up.
Wow.
So, the noteworthy
One more
thing... Oh, God, sorry.
I'm one more compliment away from printing out a picture of myself and putting it on the wall.
Best commentator of the year. So, noteworthy thing that happened, though, is that really affects the Delta versus 360 fight. Because
Yes,
360 finally got around the Delta, and now they have a drive-through penalty. Or, no, it was a stop-and-go, wasn't it?
Yes. Stop and go.
So
I
that's
believe.
going to move Pelletier forward in the 360 once again. So Tobias Blumshein has had a very rough go of it in this fight. Wow, and he's locking up the rears a lot right now. I'm wondering if he's moved the brake bias backwards to help get the car to rotate, but it seems very on edge. Either way, he's going to have a big penalty to serve. He does seem like he's significantly faster than Pelletier, though, so I think he'll make it up. It'll be a tough go, though, with an hour to go. An hour of driving left to do.
It's going to be a really, really interesting last hour of the race.
For sure.
I think it's...
Another big fight going on will be Ferdy Riemann versus Nick Newcomb for the back end of the podium standings at GTLM.
I think it's actually been one of the more clean races of VISC, in all fairness.
I think it has. It's been cleaner. The DNFs are racking up still, but I think, to be honest, half of those DNFs are from one incident, though.
I think it's more been people's own mistakes rather than people taking each other out.
That's very true. Jeff Close, who had been leading most of the race, he's 6th. He's going to be trying to catch up to Julian Vrack in the GRG. Got 12 seconds to make up. He has had pace. He was leading most of the race, so we'll see if that car is in working enough order to allow him to do that. And yeah, Teasdale's got quite a gap to overcome if he's going to get to Kirby. Another close battle going on in LMP2 between Sean Jones and Varga Mate in the future sport car, trying to get a podium on his first time out. See that Valle.
Quite quiet this race, and he hasn't really set the world alight, but if he gets this podium, I think that'll be definitely a good performance from him. He was actually on the controller until about 6 months ago.
Wow.
So he's adapted to his wheel quite nicely.
It's yellow flashing up in Sector 2 there, but that clears quickly. Yeah, I don't know how people drive R Factor 2 on a controller. That requires something I do not have.
Yes, a lot of... And he was on pace as well. He did a few GPVWC Academy races with me. And, wow, how people can do anything on controller, I do not know.
Yeah. Some people got more finesse in their thumbs than I do, for sure.
I
But
think the biggest problem with the
Go ahead.
controller actually is the throttle and brake. You can barely use without ABS. Anyway, as you were saying.
Sean Jones catching up to Vargamate. He's gonna have to hold on to. He's gonna have to fight to hold on to that position with a charging Valle LMP2 behind him.
Of course, the foul at number 33 is straight behind them, Alex Hallows. 37-second gap though, and it's going to be interesting to see. This is 3.745 seconds. As Sean's gaining down the straights, I believe. And it's quickly closing. Now, what I'm saying could be slightly different to what you viewers at home are seeing on your screens, because I'm using the race view, and obviously the timing on the overlay is actually live, and I cannot see the overlay live.
Yeah.
It's a little bit confusing to get used to, but you get used to it in the end.
It's all. I don't know. It's a lot of adapting to do this properly.
Yes.
See him getting past Julian Vrak, Sean Jones there. Got Daniele Battesi in front of him now.
And this is where you really have to get luck with traffic. You can have all the pace in the world, but if you can't manage traffic properly, then you're going to fail quite significantly.
I feel like that's you foreshadowing how my Daytona is going to go next weekend. That'll be spooky.
Have you done any practice for that yet? Because I have not done anything.
I've done a few. Thing is, I've done a few, like an hour or two of practice. We don't have the setup yet, or I haven't run with our setup if it's been posted yet. So that's all to be done.
Yes, same. I think tonight's going to be a lot of practice for that.
Oh geez, we got 2 people in the waiting for interview channel.
Oh wow!
Wow, people really want our. That's fair.
Does Rob still want an interview?
He said, "Any chance I can pop into the broadcast for like 30 seconds? I forgot to mention the E in RE Racing, and I'm gonna feel awful. I've got my PTT all sorted and everything."
Yes,
right.
we'll drop down.
Channel switched.
Rob Gibson
User
has
joined
come
your
back.
channel.
I'm sure he just wants to steal the commentator's popcorn, but
Hey guys, no, I appreciate you coming back. You like getting on the stage for the Oscars, and you remember that you forgot the most important person when you leave. So I just wanted the origins of the sim racing team. The RE Racing is R as me, Rob, and then my partner is a guy named Evan Mueller, who's not here today. But I actually started racing in real life with his dad, and Evan is a 16-year-old kid who I've known since he was like 5 years old. So Evan's young, but he's an up-and-comer, and he's really learning a lot in this. And I just wanted to make sure that he got the props that he deserved for this.
Oh.
So
I've just remembered, I almost signed you for Daytona.
almost.
Yes, so Evan came to me asking for a seat. I was like, sure, I'll give you a seat. So everything was sorted. I just invited him to the Discord, and then turns out you'd found a seat with someone else apparently.
Oh yes.
He was like,
Well-
my mate's has done real life endurance. I was like, oh wow, well I'll have to sign you then.
That's funny because the other team didn't work out, obviously, so that's why we started our own. So I guess everything works out for a reason. But
Yeah.
it would have been fun either way.
Yes. Anyway, I guess while we're here, we should interview Leon Chambers.
Hello,
Hello, Leon.
how's it going?
Interesting 24 hours for you. I imagine you forgot to sign up for the race.
It wasn't us. It was the second car that forgot to sign up for the race.
Oh.
It wasn't us.
Oh.
Again,
Fair enough.
yeah. It's the Echo car was unsure whether they were going to participate, and we tried just adding them last minute just to see if we could fill up an extra slot, but obviously it didn't happen in the end. So
My
yeah,
mistake then.
it was
Apologies.
the other car. We've been signed up since weeks ago.
I did not realise you had a second car.
Hey guys, I'm gonna jump back into my thing, but I appreciate it.
Right, enjoy, Rob.
Jump back in. Thanks.
So yeah, Jeff's driving at the moment. First time in the car. Because it does get tiring after 3 hours of non-stop pushing.
I'm sorry for people there. We had a hiccup on the stream. I thought my internet was going to die, but I'm still here. That was scary.
Did we get any of that?
Nope. No, you did not. I don't think we got any of that.
Amazing.
Did we get the Rob bit?
We got the Rob bit.
Okay, great.
Sorry,
Doing
Leon.
a battle still with Tobias. Tobias has been a bit of a thorn in the side this race.
You've been battling with him all race, and it's getting very, very close now.
Yeah, we were quite a lot quicker when I was in the car, but he seems to be having an issue with his rear brakes or something. Every time I get alongside him, he'd lock his rear brakes and sort of fishtail me out the way. And I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, it's been fun to have a nice battle on track. We ended up with a little bit of damage from it, so we had to pit, and we ended up 20 seconds down, unfortunately. I think they came off a lot better than we did. And as a result, we're down that we should be running about 5th, I think, for most of the race. So,
Yeah.
unfortunate, but just his first time in the car, so doing a good job holding off Tobias right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, he's got a little bit of issue with his rear brakes going into the corners.
Yeah, that's something I was bringing up. It seems like the brake bias is too far to the rear or something like that, or he's, I don't know, maybe the brakes are cooled or something, I'm not sure.
It's something that's a weird trait of this car in R Factor, that if you put too much transient brake pressure on, like right at the peak, then all 4 wheels lock at the same time, which shouldn't really happen when you're putting on brake pressure when you're at high speed.
Yeah.
But it essentially it's like putting the car into neutral for a second. And as soon as you lift back off the brake, it snatches the rear tires because the rear tires are moving faster. So I think maybe that's what they've done. We lower the actual brake pressure of the brakes so that so it doesn't happen, because we've got the brake bias as far forward as possible, and it still
I
locks
can't
up.
remember the last time I went to full brake pressure on an LMP2.
Yeah, no, we run about 72 kilograms, about 90%. Yeah, it's a weird trait of this car, and you'll see some of the newer drivers, I think, struggling with that. We definitely struggled in Daytona when we first started driving. Obviously, it was our first event, Daytona, so we've had a bit of a wild ride over the past couple of months.
Yeah, that's that caught me out at Daytona. Whoa. Caught me out in Le Mans when I first tried to drive an LMP2 car. Race got cancelled though, so I never had to drive it, so no one ever saw me crash.
Well, our original race got cancelled because the story for us is we were supposed to race in a completely different series, and we ended up having to switch at the last second, and we just went from a 4-hour Suzuka race to a 24 hours a Daytona.
Oh, you ran your Suzuka setup, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't have a setup. And we
remember
basically
that.
haven't had a setup up until now, so this is our first time having a proper race-ready setup. And I think I was a lot closer in qualifying this time around than I have been. It gave me about 5 seconds having this setup over the default setup, so it just shows how these bigger teams with more people can put more resources in, learn their setups, and,
Oh, wow.
and get an advantage.
Yeah, that was spooky.
That was close.
Spooky hours there.
But they've been bumper to bumper for laps now.
Yeah.
Hopefully they keep it clean.
Yeah, or clean enough, I suppose. Oof, looking for a way past the inside.
Oh, just a bit of a nudge.
Perfectly execute. No, never mind. Commentators goes.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be a close battle, I think, to the end. Well, I'm going to let you bite on your nails with your team.
It's different having somebody else in the car, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. Good luck out there, Leon.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Channel switch. User joined your channel.
I always find interesting on that point that it's a lot harder to have someone else in the car when you're actually driving. Whenever I see a teammate driving, I'm always absolutely terrified that I'm gonna bottle it for them, or they're gonna crash. The
Yeah.
second I get into the car, it's completely fine and calm. Apart from the last hour of ERC Le Mans, where I was just driving as slow as possible, making sure that the engine didn't blow up.
Yeah. It's funny because it kind of brings up what Rob Gibson said earlier, where you just have to trust your teammate at some point. Like, there's just nothing you can do at some point. You just gotta trust them. I knew I had to, like, when I started doing endurance racing at ACC, that was my big thing, is like, I actually didn't have a strong sense of how fast my teammate was going to be. I reached a point where I realized he was fine, but those first 2 races we did where I'm like, okay, I'm letting him in the car, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, but it ended up being fine. He was fine, but it doesn't matter, he's still stressed.
Yeah, and it's the trust of, especially when you have a big race.
Drive-through penalty for the CDR number 12. That is for attempting to lap a GT, then going off because you've lapped it unsafe, and then rejoining and swiping it off the track.
Bad time for Ian Coleman there, unfortunately.
Yes, interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. So, close battle between the 2 Valle or Vals. How is it? Is it Valle or is it Val? What's the final ruling on that?
Now, I always said Val, but according to the Italians, it's Valle.
Oh, okay. Well, close battle between the 2 Valles. Mika Hikimi and Alex Hallows going through to turn 5 here. We've got a Riemann in front trying to recover from an incident earlier in the race where he definitely got off the least damaged for it, although it has certainly pushed him down the order. Woof! That really held up Hallows, and that's going to let Hakimi through.
That was brilliant reading the situation from Hakimi.
Yeah. That's, he's a fast guy. He is very fast. As that's been happening, Weizerczek's gotten the GRG into 4th. Got around Karatko when we were interviewing Leon Chambers.
Still held up behind his Iris car.
Yeah. Going through the, especially those higher downforce corners like the carousel behind that prototype can really lose. Going behind a GTLM car, sorry, can lose you a ton of time because you can just go through it so much faster than them.
Anyway, is going to be a final 50 minutes of the race, and wow, that was brave from that race type. I can tell you firsthand that is a lot more difficult. Oh, wow, that is a lot more difficult than you'd think. So I've just seen an iRacing clip where a prototype just rear-ended a GT.
Oh, jeez.
It gave me flashbacks to this, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of good battles going on. Oof, don't want to do that. That is my VR headset. Smashing that on the floor would be tragic.
I did that once, not with a VR headset. I had a brand new laptop and I put the bag on the floor, then I walk in and I accidentally put my foot on the bag.
Oh no.
And it completely totaled the laptop.
Oof. So, Ferdy Riemann trying to make up for his, I guess Jeff Close isn't his boss, but the car owner, I suppose, having a bit of tragedy earlier in the race. I don't know if this would be some sort of recompense, I suppose, for Close. If he could have his Iris car get onto the podium. He's catching up to Nick Newcomb with all kinds of speed. Nick Newcomb with a big lock up there through the hurry downs.
Jeff had this race in hand as well. I couldn't see him letting out and, you know, not finishing first.
Yep.
But unfortunately, in multi-class racing, occasionally cars come together.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of it.
There we go through the bend. Closing in. Not as fast as he'd like, though. Newcomb had a pretty good run out of the carousel.
If you don't mind, Christian, I'm going to quickly get a drink and I will be back in about 5 minutes.
No worries. Well, how's it going, YouTube? Just you and me again. That's just fine. Woof! Oh, terrible run for Nick Newcomb out of turn 14. That's going to give Ferdy Riemann a really good chance here. He's on the outside, but I think he's got the run to beat Newcomb before the first corner. Newcomb's going to tuck back into the draft. Please, Nick, don't do anything too dangerous here. And he thinks better of it, and we're all through turn 1 nice and safely, and that'll be Ferdy Riemann back into the podium positions. He's got 18 seconds to make up to Teasdale, though. And that will be a bit of a trek. All still to be played for, though, here. Elsewhere on the track, we can pop on over to Olaf van der Stam, who's now the next car trying to catch up to Valle Peltier. He's got Epic Racing DPI just behind him. I do not know if that is Dickinson or if it is Vincent Gutt. Vincent Gutt's the other one. I don't know who that is per se. I think it's Vincent Gutt, though. That DPI is going to use all of that Cadillac power to push past the Orica. Going to give Olaf van der Stam a bit of a draft, though. You've got to be careful, though. You don't want to get too much aero push. Trying to follow behind that DPI through these opening high downforce corners. Not a big gap between those two. Peltier and van der Stam. And after them, it's not a big gap to Tobias Blumshein. Jeff Close, trying to recover from an accident that took him out of first. I'm not sure a top 5 would be much reconciliation. Well, I'm not sure a top 5 would feel great. But Julian Frack is the next car up the road. That's all he needs to get around to get into the top 5. After that's 30 seconds to Nick Newcomb. So we see Riemann go up to second on the pit cycle there, and that pushes Teasdale down to 4th. So one more pit stop probably for all the GTLM cars left to go. I think there's a pit stop left in every class at this point. See if we look at the number of pit stops where we currently stand. So Riemann and Newcomb are at 3 stops, but I think Riemann's done a pit stop for damage, so he's technically on the 2. Teasdale's only just done a 2nd stop, which is surprising to hear. It's the AC Sim Sport number 888 Porsche. Newcomb has, Newcomb, sorry, although he has also done this race entirely solo. Teasdale has also done this race entirely solo. See a whole horde of cars just behind him. To turn 5, where we've seen so many cars go wide on. It's so easy to get braking wrong and be carried off into the shadow realm of the sand trap there. We've seen it happen once or twice in this race. Olaf van der Stam has really caught up to Pelletier in the last lap. Something must have happened there. I don't know if it was an off track or if it was just some general traffic catching up to her with leaps and bounds. That VMS Sun Edits 112 car. Got the CDR of Aiden Coleman behind him, but Aiden Coleman is about a lap behind. So the concern for him is there's a yellow in 2nd or 3. Was that a car stopped? Am I crazy? Did I see a car there? Inside of that corner. Carousel here into the kink just ahead. Being pulled all over the back of that VMS Sun Edits car. Woof! Sort of sideways. That's the danger, falling so closely. All that aero push. Dangerous times indeed. Van der Stam all over the Delta number 56. As the leaders after, well, a lot of racing, about 2 hours of racing. Bertalan Savania in the Mugen. Woof! Valle Peltier, all sorts of out of shape there, and that will be Jessica Peltier. And that will be the end of that defense. She slides down the order to 10th.
Oh dear, that looked like a car belly off.
Yeah, it was one of the epic cars there, but it was quite off. That was Nick Scott Dickinson, who's DPI. Last of the DPIs running. Unfortunately, a bit of a. I think this is his first race though in the VISC. Probably one of his first real races in that Cadillac. Makes you realize how much. This is kind of an interesting thing we've kind of learned from both Chambers and Gibson. Is sort of how teams develop setups over the course of the championship. You don't just make a new setup for the race, it seems. It seems you almost get like a general feeling of what the car wants from you over the season. And you kind of have to, and it's hard to come in fresh without kind of that learning period that is the season. So,
this is what I was saying earlier. It's almost as if in this kind of racing, it's almost as if there is this kind of R&D that you have to do without actual R&D.
Yeah.
It's like a good driver could be hindered by the team he's in. Just purely because you need to get a good package together early on. You need to learn the car, which is why it's always going to take a while for you to build up your position. So you could have the best driver in the world, but if you don't know the car, it's unlikely you'll be able to win a champion. Oh dear, that's the AFP.
I don't know if Vrac didn't notice Close on the inside there, because it didn't seem like Close dove. It seemed like he was on the inside going into
Julian, he was alongside. I'm not giving anything for that, just so you're aware.
Skinner confirming my position on that immediately. So there you go. Importance of having a spotter.
A spotter or eyes can be used interchangeably, of course.
Well, here's the thing though, right? Like, for me, when I race, just with my seating position and where I am in the car, if someone's at my side quarter panel, I don't see them, right? So I need crew chief saying like, hey, car on the inside. Then I'm like, oh shoot. Then I don't cut it. Then I don't drive on top of them. So
I feel like you need a spotter and eyes though as well. It's I personally don't run a spotter, but when you get into
it's the mirror, yeah, the virtual mirror would tell you.
Oh yeah, I like to run when I can the SimHub radar. That's really useful. It's unrealistic, but then again, so's only being able to see out of the window and not to the side of you. So
yeah, not being able to use the mirrors. Yeah, that's all quite unique challenges to sim racing.
yes, of course, unless you have an expensive setup, of course.
Yeah. So Close has 10 seconds now to make to Teasdale, but I think Close has to pit again. And Teasdale's done his final stop. So that will go back in Teasdale's favor as this continues on. Karatko has really fallen off Weizercheck in this stint. You see Vincent Gutt diving into the pits. Epic Racing getting that car into the podium positions. That is a team that, when we're back here in, when did the season start? Did the season start in August or September? We'll be back here around that time of the year again, looking at Epic Racing to be competitive out of the gate at Daytona. See Close dive into the pits. Daniel Kirby's in the pits from the lead. See how he filters out. Got quite a gap to Ferdy Riemann. I don't know when Ferdy Riemann last pit. That'll be the important part of that question.
It's going to be interesting now when these prototypes pit. If they pit exactly on the 40-minute mark, then they can't push exactly as much as they'd like in the last 40 minutes. And if they pit now, 41 minutes to go, then they definitely can't push in the last, you need to, it's all about when they pit. They need to realistically want to pit about 38 minutes so that they can use a bit more fuel on that last stretch to the line.
Yeah. It's a big deal. Wait, Kevin Features just said Jeff. No. What happened to Jeff? Just stress the heck out of me.
Probably that incident with the other GTLM.
No. So as we go through this cycle of final pit stops here, so a lot of people pitting right on the 40-minute mark, so they're going to be quite marginal on fuel at the end. We could see some people having to do splashes at the end, running out of fuel on the last lap if they got their number wrong.
I think running in lower engine modes would probably be a more... because the fuel tanks are slated to do exactly 40 minutes, so it just depends when it falls, really. It's always a bit risky in the last stint.
Yeah.
Because obviously you don't know if the leader is... it depends on the pace of the leader, really. Like, if the leader... If the timer runs out when the leader's on his last lap, then obviously there isn't a white flag. The race just ends at the end of that lap. But obviously... yeah, it depends.
So, speaking of that, Bertrand Savagna in for his final pit stop, so he got it past the 40-minute mark fairly decently. 38 minutes, and probably be closer to 37 when he gets out. Or at least 37 and a half. Elsewhere in the field as this goes on, see Yorgo Bentori who's in the pits. That is a car we've not talked about much. It's the ground effect nasty. Mentioned it briefly. Ground effect nevertheless seems that sort of come in a bit later. I think they came in at Watkins and Glen. Maybe a bit before that, I may be wrong. But having a fairly decent run. Got the car into the top 10. That's a pretty good run for ground effect. Very respectable. Getting some decent points. Don Bassell has had a really rough race. He was in third before he had a disconnect. This race has really hit some of the cars that we usually see being consistent toward the top of the field.
I think, actually, and that black on red number plate still really annoys me. I think one of the biggest issues that's happened here is teams almost expect there to be so many code 80s that their fuel strategy works out exactly and they can save fuel. And I think the lack of code 80s today, whilst has been good for the racing, we want to see green flag racing, it's making it a little bit more tricky for these teams. They realise they actually have to save fuel, which is one of the biggest parts of endurance racing. You can't just go qualifying lap every single lap anymore. I don't know why I said anymore.
Times have changed. So I don't think Sunveld's done his final pit stop, so Savasi has taken over in the leading the last 40 so minutes. Oof, see that spot a bother. So his Sunveld pull over the pits. That's going to get Patrick Salvasi back in the lead for the Mugen 16.
Interestingly, the Mugen 16 has been running has been running the medium compound practically all race. I wonder why that is. Is their setup maybe particularly more nasty to the tyres, or is it just one of those things?
Yeah, maybe it's either the setup is nasty to the tires, or they said the qualifying tires, the soft tires will be good for maybe the first 4 laps. Then they drop off by the second half. The mediums are half a second slower. Run the mediums the whole race. Could be one of those circumstances.
Could be that, but that would beg the question as to why everyone else is running on the softs. Actually, that's not true. The GTLM field is mostly running medium. No, 4 of them are running medium.
Yeah. Well, it could just be. It could be they're right because they are leading the race, and they're leading the race significantly. So maybe everyone else just didn't clue in onto that.
Yeah, that could be the case. I know the LMP2 field definitely doesn't want to run mediums because the medium and softs are broken.
Yeah.
In LMP2. It's one of the big things they need to address, actually.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to actually have some tyre strategy.
This is very true. I know when I was running 24 Hours of Spa last year, We actually put mediums on the front of the car and softs on the back, which was
I've seen a
really
few people
interesting.
do that actually.
Yeah. So, seems in GT there's some interesting things happening with tires at least.
I've heard a few people do that in LMP2 as well, actually, on tracks that are particularly nasty to the front tyres, and it can be good because it means you can, you don't have to change a full set at a pit stop.
Yeah. Very true.
But it only really works on the fronts because the second you put mediums on the back, it just throws the car off completely.
Yeah.
I remember once I had mediums on the back and softs on the front by mistake, actually. Not in an actual race, luckily. And it was the throttle pedal was just so gregarious, and it was because you can feel the grip on the front, and then there's just little grip on the rear end, and it's not very nice at all. Still can't get over how odd this Porsche sounds in this game.
I like how it sounds. I don't know. Then again, I don't know. R Factor 2 doesn't... It's sort of interesting how sound quality's improved so much in video games. Just in I'd say this last generation since R Factor 2 came out. Because I remember if you go back to like Gran Turismo before this, or if you go to the first Project Cars, what else came out then? Like games of R Factor's vintage don't sound great, but the games that came after R Factor sound really good, like really quickly. I think the only game around R Factor's age that sounds really good is Race Room.
I think one of the big things is that we've slowly got to a better way of having to actually record the car sounds rather than kind of synthesizing them. I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot, I believe a lot of the cars aren't actually actual car sounds, it's made by a computer.
That makes sense.
I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I legitimately don't know. But I know in other games it's recorded. And it sounds significantly better. Go ahead, sorry.
I know in, obviously, the old Grand Prix games, that was always synthesized. And I believe in Forza they must have some form of synth. I mean, I think Forza's just got 3 different types of car sound and they're just used for different races. I was playing one of the Horizon games the other day with some friends as a bit of a laugh, and the car sounds in that is atrocious. Anyway, as you were saying.
The Delta has swapped out fighting 360 to fight CDR instead. So Pelletier slowly catching up on Aiden Coleman.
Only a second in that now, 9/10 actually.
Yeah. She is got a bunch of steam coming down the straight.
If we had the push to pass button that is DRS, that would be a very easy pass. But luckily, we do not in this series.
Yeah. You know what's really weird? Okay. Have you ever heard of Brazilian endurance racing?
No, but I believe I've driven. That must be what the cars are in Automobilista.
Yeah. So in Brazilian endurance racing, first of all, they have 4 different prototype categories. They have LMP1, LMP2, LMP3, and LMP4.
LMP4?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which
Is that like an actual bicycle?
They're very odd cars. They're like what do you call them? It's what Gamer Muscle likes to drive a lot. Those kind of cars. Those kind of like gentleman-looking prototypes. Like a Radical. A Radical would be an LMP4.
Oh, wow, that is odd looking.
But they have a lot of Brazilian-made cars that are similar to a Radical, although I think you could enter a Radical. Most of the teams run Brazilian equivalents. Then they have a GT1, a GT2, a GT3, and a GT4.
Because GT1 is faster than LMP4, surely.
So, yeah. So some contact there between Coleman and Pelletier.
Because GT1 cars are essentially
Warning
prototypes.
for Jessica Pelletier. Just be careful when defending. Thank you.
She wasn't defending, she was attacking. That was Coleman who was defending. Coleman got wide there, so that's going to give Pelletier the run to the hurry downs here. See if she completes his pass. Coleman's flashing his lights, but I don't know his
flashing
He had nothing. She had nothing to do with that. He went wide on his own, so I don't know what he wants.
Oh, no.
No one wrong.
That's not the case.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
There was a little bit. There was a little bit of contact earlier,
Ah.
so he's a little bit frustrated.
I would be. Sorry, Aiden. I missed it. I was watching this fight the whole time and I missed the contact.
It was only a little bit of contact, so it's easy
Okay.
to miss. But
Yeah, the way I think. So I think. For sure, because I think even GT1 is faster than everything but LMP2 and LMP1. And I think the GT1 category is actually GT3 cars. Then GT2 is older GT3 cars. GT3 is GT4 cars. And then GT4 is touring cars.
what?
So, yeah, so their categorization is completely different. Same way LMP1 and LMP2 are actually both LMP1 cars. But LMP1 is LMP1 cars from 2019 and onwards, and LMP2 is the LMP1 cars from the previous generation.
Then LMP3 is LMP2.
LMP3 is actually LMP3, and LMP4 is like radicals.
Brand new class.
Yeah,
Because
they have like. Go, pardon.
Clubman Racing here, like 750 Motor Club, they do radicals.
Yeah.
And that's Clubman class racing. But actual professional Brazilian racing use those cars for endurance. They don't look like endurance cars either, really.
No. They look so different. I had a point I was getting to with all this how wacky Brazilian endurance racing is. I completely forget the point now. Just Brazilian endurance racing is wacky.
It sounds very wacky.
Oh, you know what it was? So you meant,
Yes.
oh Jesus, Pelletier goes really wide through hurry downs in turn 5 there. When you were talking about DRS, woof, big contact between Pelletier
They
and
look
Coleman
like they
again.
probably have DRS.
They
I
have
would
DRS and push to pass.
Oh no, that's not endurance racing.
Yeah,
That field looks weird.
it is.
I'm not even sure that is an LMP1. Like, you've just got all these weird looking cars, they're just actual Mercedes.
Yeah, they're all like a lot of the cars are actually indigenous Brazilian race cars. That's why they look so alien. But then there's randomly like just a proper Janetta LMP1 cars there as well.
Looks really, really odd.
Yeah.
Because they don't actually look like LMP1s either.
No. Oof. Man, this is stressful to watch. As yeah. The number 5 GRG is in the pits. Getting his final stop done. So we'll see how that deals with the battle of Karatko.
So they have GT3 and GT3 lights,
Yeah.
and LMP2, which... Okay, well it's still... LMP2 there is still allowed to have the open cockpit.
Yeah. It's just so weird. The more I like learn about it, the more I'm like, this is just wacky.
That is very, very, very odd. And then LMP3 just looks like radicals.
Yeah. I might have added more classes than there were in my head.
Yeah, I don't think there's a GT1 looking at it.
So as we sit here, we have that giant aside about Brazilian and endurance racing. Julian Vrack is in the pits. I think he's getting his final stop done. That will move him down to 6th behind Jeff Close.
And the disappointment as well, that Delta Autosport car after what Callum's been doing... not Callum. No, Callum Hambley is the...
Leon
18th.
Chambers, you mean?
Leon Chambers, yes, sorry. They sound quite similar. After that being 11th position, that wouldn't be fair to Jessica Pelletier that wouldn't be what I'd particularly call a good drive.
It's been rough. I think this is her first time in that car with that team. Probably is playing
so
a
there
part.
has to be something, right?
Yeah. Especially getting into such a close fight like that is going to be tough. But I know that feeling. I've definitely gotten into a car where somebody did a lot of good work, and then I get into the car and I throw it all away. I've definitely done that. So
Yes,
I know that pain, where you're just either not where your teammate was at. It's just not your track. Sometimes you just like, your warm up time was just too slow. Like you eventually get the pace back, but you just weren't on it fast enough.
Yeah, and sometimes it just gets to the point where you haven't done enough practice, you've been busy in the week, or you don't really like the track.
Yeah. Well, if there's a car facing the wrong
That's
way
Aiden
there.
Coleman's car.
Aiden Coleman.
Yeah, I find quite a lot of the time that I don't get enough practice in, specifically for the VISC races. I think mainly because a lot of the tracks don't really suit my driving style, which is no discredit to the league at all. It's completely a personal problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of the tracks like Belle Isle and things, they're quite slow speed, and I prefer the high speed tracks like your Spas and things. So obviously you lose a bit of motivation to practice, and then, you know, by the time you get enough practice in, you kind of just don't exactly have the pace. I think it really helps though to have a teammate to practice with. When I say practice with, just talk to about the race, and yeah.
Yeah, makes it all more real.
Mm.
Well,
So
23 minutes to go. You can catch us on the RF2 VISC Twitter account. Share us your Alex Skinner memes. Talk about how the race is going. I haven't been on it as much this race as I normally should be. But
no, you haven't been on the Instagram. I needed to brag that I was doing commentary on my story.
I know, I should have... Here's my issue, right? Usually what I do is I get all the stream stuff set up for the race, and by the time I remember, oh yes, I need a thumbnail, and I should get into the game and like do the Twitter stuff, it's like almost like 2 in the morning in North America. It's like... Yeah, I'm like, it's not... I'm like, who cares about the Twitter?
The thing is, I used to do so much social media, and the thing is, this is like my Instagram, so I'm trying to grow it, because, you know, we're trying to attract sponsors and stuff for the real life stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to post on Instagram when you're in lockdown, and there's literally no karting for you to post about.
Yeah.
Because you're legally not allowed to go. So what I've been doing instead, I've been going onto R Factor 2, spending an hour getting a semi half decent lap in, and then just posting that instead.
Yeah.
Because there's just nothing to post, and it's very difficult to be productive when, like, the one thing you're supposed to be good at, you're legally not allowed to do.
Yeah, I know that pain. So as we sit here, that is a good move by, well, not a great move, just took advantage of Pelletier out braking herself in through the hurry downs. She looks here, nowhere to go this time by. Gonna have to try and collect herself and see if she can get back on to Aiden Coleman and save this top 10. 21 minutes to go.
And it's odd as well, because I found myself, when it comes to sim racing, especially this week, I've barely been able to do anything, because R Factor 2, various issues over the week.
Yeah.
I think has annoyed basically everyone who's ever played the game. Now, I don't want to be too unfair to Studio 397. They're doing their best to make they've clearly inherited a game that had a few flaws in development, you know.
Yeah.
Initially. Like, I think it was, in a way, a bit too ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like, I think if this game released 2 years later, it wouldn't have these problems.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, I think they've done like a really good job with what they were given 397. Like, it's hard to explain. How long have you had R Factor 2? I guess that's an interesting place to start that question.
So for me, I've been involved in R Factor 2 in league racing as a team manager since August 2019, I think. But it was only sort of May 2020, I actually got into the game myself. I was stuck on the last gen for ages because my computer was just atrocious, and I didn't have the ability to upgrade it.
Yeah.
For various reasons. So I got involved quite late, but I was involved in the actual like league racing part for quite a while before.
So here's the thing. It's hard to explain how much this game has improved since Studio 397 took over. Like, if you were there in 2013...
Oh, I've looked footage from 2013. It looks just as bad as R-Factor 1. Like, it looks like just R-Factor 1 with a different car.
It looks like R-Factor 1, and the thing that's on top of it is the online, you have to pay for it. And there isn't even, like, a lot of content to justify paying for the online. If you wanted... And the thing is that was dumb, really dumb at the time, is the game didn't come with anything to really support its best feature, which was its capacity to support endurance racing. At launch, there was like no content for that. You relied on the URD mod, which you had to pay for. So it's like hard to describe how much just in this like last year and a half, how much better this game's gotten, both visually in terms of being like an actual game. So I think you're 100% right. If this game came out with its feature set and like all the if like Studio 397 had gotten to sit down with it before it came out for 2 years, this would have been. I think this would have been a smash hit. This game.
Well, I think in a way that what the big problem is that they're trying to add all of these and make it into sort of a AAA game.
Yeah.
In a way, like they're trying to compete with iRacing, and I don't think realistically that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
I think iRacing's cornered a specific type of market, and you know, my only bugbear, really, like my biggest bugbear with R-Factor 2 is how expensive it gets.
Yeah.
So you pay £25 for the game, which is, you know, fair enough. I think £25 for a game this good physics-wise is more than a good deal. Then it's the amount you have to pay for content, and the amount of content you have to pay for.
Yeah.
It's I think it's quite
aggressive.
Yeah. And just little things like the competition system. How much you have to pay to get into that.
Yeah.
So you have to pay for tracks you don't even want to drive just so you can drive another track. Like I think I was looking at doing one of the Alpine Cup races, and I was like, I'll just do, I'll do the Monaco race. Well, not the Monaco. I don't have Monaco. I mean, it was like I'll do the Nürburgring race. I have that. You know, I can't wait to do that. It's like, oh, you have to pay for Monaco and Sebring.
Yeah.
Like, but I want to race Monaco and Sebring. I want to race. But I think they've definitely done a very good job. And the thing I like as well is Studio 397 I was watching one of the interviews with, I can't remember his name, but the guy who runs it. And it was like, he's clearly a sim racing fan who got himself involved in the actual development side.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Where was I going with this? Anyways, you keep talking and I'll see if my brain comes back to what I was about to say.
Alright then. We should probably talk about the race. We've got 15 minutes to go.
Yeah. Zoltan Varkani, 15 seconds over Callan Hambly. How is that gap closing at all, though? That is sort of the interesting question. About a second a lap, almost. So it could be tight at the end, but I think Callan Hambly is going to need a bit more time.
Anyway, speaking of the race, we have a race. iRacing still do not.
Oof. Oof.
Bordering on 5 hours delay.
Wow. Look, iRacing, I wanted to watch Jimmy Broadbent's stream, but you didn't need to do it to him like this.
There's nothing like Jimmy Broadbent. And this is going to sound very harsh on Jimmy Broadbent. But in the early morning, he has his American friend come on.
Yes, Bacho.
And he is a brilliant commentator.
Mm-hmm.
He could, if he did endurance commentary, I would watch every single endurance race.
I think he does commentary for the league Jimmy's friend runs. I think that's where he does commentary.
Anyway. So fast he leads.
Yep, as he has for quite some time. He's got a big gap over his son,
Battle
though.
for second in LMP2, I believe.
Yes. That is very tight, actually.
Amberley and Mate.
Yeah. That's actually close. It's the whole fight from, well, actually, the one that's really close for now is 3rd and 4th, and they're closing in on Hambly. But Hambly's closing in on, no, Hambly's closing in on Caruto, but Caruto's in DPI. Or I'm wrong. He might be closing in on Varcani. He's closing in Varcani, so it's actually close.
Yes, he is.
There we
12
go.
seconds that gap.
Yeah.
And it'll be very interesting. And actually, I don't know if it is a gap to second and third. I read it wrong. It's 11 seconds, and then another 16 seconds behind Hamberley. So
Yeah, so it's 3rd and 4th that are very close in LMP2.
yes, third and fourth place. That's Sean Jones. They've been, they've been really close all race, and Sean hasn't really been able to make many moves. AFP junior driver, and is making his way through Valle. He's come under a little bit of criticism from a few people for not doing much, as we were talking about the setup and the race-winning package that AFP have. He's come under a bit of criticism from a couple of people for not quite performing in the car, but I disagree. He picked up a win in SRL a few weeks ago, and overall he's getting there slowly. He's definitely got talent, and I think he's just trying to make the most of that talent.
Yeah.
You know,
Not everyone can be out of the gate amazing. Sometimes there is a learning process to this, and
Exactly.
yeah.
It's I mean, if you look at AFP's lineup over the entire league, and I believe they call it the AFP Eagles program. They've got very, very talented drivers, but a lot of those drivers, naturally, as they're in the junior program, are not quite there yet.
Yeah.
And I realise this comes off as if I'm saying I'm there yet. I'm not there yet either. Except I'm still a team boss, so I have to pretend I'm there.
Yeah. Now you're a good manager. Good managers aren't necessarily always the fastest driver you see.
But yeah, everyone. It takes a lot of grinding to be good at sim racing.
Yeah.
Because whereas you go to real racing, it can be quite. I think with real racing, a lot of it is you can't really train that hard. You kind of have your practice sessions and that's it. Like, is it at Le Mans where they get about 2 or 3 hours in the car before the race?
Yeah.
And obviously they have test sessions and they have to learn it. You know, a lot of it's more natural talent, whereas sim racing is like you have to grind for hours and hours and hours to get good.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of people don't necessarily perform well in sim racing, and that's mainly because they just don't have the time to put the practice in, even though if they put all of that practice in, they could easily fight for the championship.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, back to it. If Sean is able to pick up a podium, he's got 1.8 seconds to find. I think he could...
within a second now for me on the live timing, so he's...
Well, here's my live timing slightly behind. Oh, he's closing in very fast.
Yeah, it's the car right in front of him there, Varga Mate in the Future Sport. Number 46 trying to hold on to that podium. It would be great to have a podium for them on their first time out, but they'll have to beat Valle, one of the best teams in the VISC, to do it.
I have been in the exact position that this third place car is in before, going for my first podium, trying to hold off a hungry attacking car behind, and it is extremely difficult. And Alex Skinner knows himself what the consequences of that were. And this is when you have to start making those bold moves on the GT cars, as long as you stay somewhat sensible. This is where you have to get your elbows out, and with 10 minutes to go, I don't think you could really blame him for kind of holding off Sean more aggressively than he normally would.
Yep. It's all to win and lose here.
And Sean is really closing in now.
Yeah, he's basically all on top of him. Not many passing opportunities in this part of the track through turn 6. Ooh, but a bit loose there from Varga Mate.
though Sean's got the dirty air, and as you can see, consequence of that, a little bit of understeer and a little bit of unstable. You can see the car just getting slightly light.
Oof.
And again, and I think that's the problem. This track generates a lot of dirty air.
Yeah.
Because it's such a... You need a lot of downforce, but you also need a lot of top speed. So you run a low downforce setup on a track that requires quite a bit of downforce. And it's just because of that massive straight. So the dirty air can be very, very difficult.
So here's
to
an
handle.
interesting thing there. You can actually see the speed. You can see how Sean Jones is significantly faster through that entire part of the
Yeah,
track.
it's just...
Yeah. It's just the dirty air is making it hard to complete the move, even though Jones does have quite a lot of pace underneath him. This will be a corner very important to get right.
He's faster, but he's not faster in the right places.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to make the move, to be honest.
As that's happening, woof! Just came in for that. Pelletier and Sunveld having a bit of an incident there. Pelletier falls down to 11th with that.
And of course, you don't. The last thing you want, though, is, as someone's mentioned in chat actually, you don't want to pick up last-minute penalties heading into Petit and
That's actually Pelletier speaking of her. Oh, jeez, she's running!
Okay.
Oh my goodness!
Penalty for stop and go. 30-second penalty for Jessica Pelletier for
That
causing a
was
collision with a car
very,
lapping
very
her.
poor.
Thank you.
That was very poor.
That
It has to be
was...
said.
Yeah, that was not very bright. That's going to really hurt Sean Jones.
I do not want to be harsh because these things happen, but Sean made it very, very clear which line he was taking, and Jessica Pelletier just come over the line.
Yeah. Like, I could tell Sean he probably should have gotten off the throttle when he realized that gap was closing, but that gap shouldn't have closed. For sure.
I would have to disagree, because if you're Sean, you're looking at that and you're saying, well, I'm being closed in on, but they've got to let me past, and you've got to trust that you're going to be let past, and unfortunately that's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Earlier in the race I'd completely agree, but at this stage when you're fighting for the podium you need to be bold, and unfortunately that just happens.
Yeah. No, I agree. That is not him at all. That,
no,
should not have happened. So when
From a
somebody
damage
off,
limitation point, I can see where you're coming from.
yeah, I think that was actually... Was that Hakimi who was off? I think that was Hakimi who was off, so that's going to move... Does that move anyone? I don't know. I'm crazy. That was not Hakimi who was off. That was somebody else. Might have been the yellow DPI. I think that's the 360 that's a yellow DPI then. Might be wrong.
Talk about a consistent colour scheme from 360 there. I have license to say that, by the way, because Aiden is a driver for me in VMG.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be a driver for me in VMG, but neither of us could do it today because of this.
Well, this has been fun.
I think it's been worth it.
Yeah, this is... You have been very much appreciated today.
I assumed we'd have a couple more people in today in the commentary.
So Matt is actually moving. So that's why he can't be here today. He's moving on up.
How dare he move house? He should cancel his house move because VISC is more important. Oh, Martin. That's not Martin. It might be, actually.
That
Yes,
was
it is.
Martin Varkas, so that's going to put Alex Hallows up into 6th.
Well done, Alex.
Yeah.
Good drive from Alex Hallows, can I just say?
Yeah. I feel like he's been further up the order today than this, so I don't know if we missed something, but...
4th, 5th, 6th.
Who
Oh,
was that off? That was another AFP. That must have been... Who was that? It was Hakimi who was off. So Hakimi having a bit of a go of it, and that's going to put Sean... That's actually not going to do that. Nope, that does nothing. Hakimi is completely clear from attack from
5th,
behind.
6th. Now all AFP cars, or Valle cars.
Yeah.
But, yes, for some reason, I enjoy commentating this series more than I enjoy racing it. And I don't know why.
It's probably because you're not familiar enough with the tracks for racing it, so you don't have the...
I suppose that's a good point.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to be on pace when you're learning the track for the first time.
Yeah.
it's like something like Daytona. I know it anyway. Like, you know, I know Daytona's a track, and I guess like in Europe being like ERC and stuff, I know most of the calendar anyway. I didn't know NOLA, but I know most of the calendar anyway.
NOLA is such a weird track to be in the ERC. Like, no offense. Like, I literally I have no problem with it being there. It's just a interesting track choice.
I think ERC as a whole has got a very weird calendar, but I don't think that's necessarily discredits the league. The more I think about it, I think a lot of the tracks they've gone for is actually quite interesting. I wish there was less American tracks on the thing.
Yeah.
Mainly because we've got VISC and it is European.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think it's actually quite an interesting league to be in.
Yeah.
And I kind of like how it's got this weird relationship with VISC, where they're basically sister leagues, without officially being sister leagues.
Yeah, a lot of similar names show up.
And the fact that the VISC rulebook is basically a copy and paste of the ERC rulebook, according to Chris.
Yeah. I think one thing I know, talking to Alex, we'd really like to do next season is have safety cars instead of code 80s.
For sure, I think that'd be very interesting.
But it's challenging to implement.
I know, I'd get the wheel out.
Yeah. That's what we need. We just need to do that. I'm sure we could find a volunteer, especially for the sprint races. It'd just be harder for the getting endurance coverage the whole race.
I think the problem you've got with that is, though, the safety car obviously, unless you're saying the safety car is a GT, which would make sense.
Yeah.
I think if the safety car is a GT, then that makes a lot of sense. Whereas, you know, compared to having like an actual like Mercedes AMG road car or something.
Yeah.
But I'm only being half ironic when I say I would drive a safety car.
Saw one of the epic racing cars. That's Gut. Vincent Gut doing a final pit stop. That'll ensure he can't catch Sonneveld unless Sonneveld has to. Because we did see Gut head to pit early. So that's sort of what I was saying. We're going to probably see some people need to do splash and dashes in this last.
My only problem with a safety car is you would have to make sure that it is a very, very distinct paint scheme.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine as a prototype driver, if I see a GT car, it's not going to immediately, especially when you've got no names above cars now.
Yeah.
It would be very, very easy to assume, oh, that's just the thing I'm lapping, not the safety car.
Yeah.
And overtake it.
You could do something similar to what Super GT does. Poked. If the race finishes as is, Varkani takes the LMT2 sprint title. Oh, interesting. So
Hey, wake up.
overall story. Oh, so Varkani could clinch the overall title with this win.
Oh, wow.
So
That is for
LMP2.
Mugen.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Mugen have been here from the start. They haven't had the best season, but they've been here since the very start of it.
They've been here from the start, and they've won races, and they've been on podiums, so...
Exactly. And they've had a few unlucky races, but social media fast flushing up there. Do go follow us on Instagram and at Twitter.
Make sure. So, yeah. Alex Hallows in a big fight with Martin Farkas here. Woof! Aiden Coleman! Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my gosh! Oh! Woof! Okay.
Goodness, that was a massive potential for a crash. Good avoidance from all involved, though.
Yeah.
Aiden's lost it by himself as well, I think.
Yeah, I think he did.
Easy to do, though, when you're on a low downforce setup on this track.
Yeah, on old tires near the end of the race.
He just lost it himself.
Yeah.
He held the brakes, though. Really good driving.
And all of this, Varga Mate, if he can hold on, he'll get a podium in his first outing in the VISC. That'll be great. And in GTLM, Michael Parker's taken over in the RE Racing Porsche. And he just has to hold on for about one more lap. Get RE Racing its first victory. And Ferdy Ferdy Riemann, gonna get a first podium for Team Iris in the VISC.
It is such a wholesome story, this, as well. RE Racing, Rob Gibson, and Evan Mueller.
Yeah.
you've got Rob Gibson, who's basically coached his mate's son throughout the entirety of this series, and they finally got a victory.
Yeah. It's been
Even though Rob and his mate's son aren't racing themselves. But you know, it's a wholesome story. It's a very wholesome story.
Tommy
It's always
Teasdale,
nice to
AC
see.
Sim Sport, also going to have a really good result for them as well. I think that'll be their first podium.
And of course, it is always nice to see real-life drivers getting involved in the series.
Yeah.
Even if it is what I assume to be clubman racing there, kind of thing. Nothing to discredit clubman racing at all. You know, it's a very competitive form of motorsport. It's nice to see them getting involved, because those guys definitely know what they're doing.
And there we go. It's the win for Mugen in the number 16. That's the championship winning car in DPI. And that
Question is,
is...
can they make it a double in LMP2? Or with LMP2?
Yep. Hakeem's
Wait
across
for
the
them to
line. So that is it. Just waiting
They've won
on Michael Parker. Because Varkanyi's got it in LMP2. And that'll be the championship for Mugen in LMP2 and DPI. We're just waiting for Parker now to cross the line and complete the standings.
And this would be a brilliant victory for RE Racing.
Indeed. Great to see it. You love to see it. Great drive
Here
from
he
both
is.
drivers there.
The All-American team up there with GRG as the hometown favourites. They take their first victory. Very wholesome story.
Wow. Well, great.
Good job
Great
all
race.
around.
Yeah. It's a great race to
Just
watch.
as we finish, iRacing Daytona finally starts.
Wow.
5 hours late.
Wow. So there you go. There's your results, folks. I'm going to see if I can quickly save it. You never know with these things. Oh boy. Why are you over there? Oh no. Come over here. So there you go. First top 10 cars overall. Then I'll flip it on over to GTLM. I'm going to chuck this somewhere for my own purposes really quickly. Actually, I should put that in the Twitter. That's what people do normally. I'm sure by this point I've probably lost some cars, but I'm going to try it. Always happens.
Yes, it always happens.
Yeah.
It
See,
was a really good race. That was a very good race.
it was. I am...
Congratulations, law firm team.
Yeah.
Well, that explains how Rob can go racing.
Yeah. Let's just take a few moments here then. So I'll try and get rid of that.
No wonder he's good at spreadsheets if he's a lawyer.
Yeah. Let's see.
So to all of those people who say that sim racers have low IQ, I mean, case in point, it's clearly not true.
Yeah, it was a really good drive. Both people who were in that car did really well. Like, it's not like when Michael Parker came in, they sort of fell off the pace. Like, he kept
And this
it
is what
there.
Congratulations, everyone, for getting to the end of this race. I'm so happy with how this race went, guys. Honestly, thank you so much for improving your driving. It was absolutely outstanding. This is what I want to see going into Petit Le Mans, which I will confirm for you within the next week or so. I'm so sorry it's been such a... We haven't confirmed it yet. We've been so trying to get everything sorted, trying to make it work for as many of you guys as possible. Congratulations to our race winners in DPI, which is Patrick Salvasi and Bertalan Savonia. Our race winner in LMP2, Zoltan Varkonyi and David Kaloksai, your title victors in both the overall and the sprint championship, and your race winner, in GTLM, which is Michael Parker for RE Racing. We will see you guys at the next round at Road Atlanta. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you soon.
And quick point before we drop down to do some interviews. This is what we were talking about throughout the stream, how the magic of this league and how good this league is, that you've got all these, not necessarily massive, but very big teams in the league, and you get a nice, the equivalent of what would be a privateer taking the win in the RE Racing car.
Yeah.
It's a very, very nice story, and it shows that you can have giant killings in the VISC.
Yeah, it's actually funny we talked about that, and we got an example of it so quickly. It was like it was predestined.
Yes,
Let's see.
we should drop down for interviews, I think.
Yeah, let's do that.
Channel switched.
Well,
Yo.
User joined your
big
channel.
congratulations, man. That was an
Thank
amazing
you.
drive.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, basically, the whole stint was like saving fuel and make it. Basically, that was all.
This is Patrick Silvassi, by the way, who won the race. Just so
Hey,
you
hello.
all know.
Yeah, won the sprint as well. So yeah, finally.
Yeah.
At least I won something. now, basically, like our goal is like to get the Grand Slam, if I can call that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the goal for Petit.
Yeah, it was a really good drive. So what was sort of your approach for this race? Because it seemed like you had like just a clear run.
Yes,
from the get-go.
it was definitely it was the goal. I mean, I didn't have any how do you call wait I don't have any confidence before this race.
Oh.
I found finally. I didn't have any confidence. I was really anxious, and basically I wanted to do it safe, and that's why I jumped in for the last stint just to make it sure if we are gonna make it.
Mhm.
Yeah, basically I had only one noticeable incident with the Sunedit's LMP2, which basically hit me in the braking at the...
Yeah.
While I was lifting, I got hit from behind him.
Mhm.
So that, of course, I had to push a little bit to make it, basically.
Yeah.
And then nothing else really happened. I mean, I am really, really happy to win, you know. It would have been like embarrassing if we would win the sprint title with 0 wins. I mean, but at the same time, it did happen with the 166. So, on the other hand, but yeah, I'm really happy to win. Finally, and yeah, I am really happy to everyone, and I'm really happy to my team because, of course, they won the LMP2, and at the same time, they won the VMG LMP2 and the LMP2 and GT classes at Spa. So
Wow, it's just
I'm
been
really
Mugen's day.
yeah. It was really a Mugen's day. I mean, like we won those 2 categories. We won here. We won the both DPI and LMP2 over 1 sprints. So yeah, it was as you said, it's a glory day for us,
So-
basically.
Just a final like strategy question, because I know me and Tom were talking about it a lot. You guys were basically the only team running mediums. What was the thinking behind that? Because almost everyone else ran softs, but it seems like you just knew some magic.
We only did the softs on the second stint.
Mhm.
The reason why is that we felt like it's so much better than the soft, especially in the carousel, and it had some really good pace, and the tire wear was less. I usually struggled with the tire wear, and that's why we decided to do that plan, and that's why we tried the softs, but it was, I wouldn't say it was worse, but the medium was the right call, in my opinion.
Well, you won, so it seems
Yeah.
you and Bertrand Savagna really knew something everyone else didn't
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Well, big congratulations.
Thank you
Enjoy
very
it.
much.
And
Yeah,
I
thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Much appreciated, man. See you around.
Yeah, appreciate it. See ya.
User left your channel.
Well, barring
I think
anyone's...
it's
Oh, go ahead.
over.
Yeah. I think we'll call
What
it there,
a race.
folks. Yeah,
A
it was a really good
wholesome ending
race.
to the sprint championship.
It's just a wholesome, good, family-friendly ending, folks.
I know this. If this was the if you were making a movie about RE racing, this would be the end of it.
Yep. Well, they still gotta win the championship next season now. That's the next goal.
Hey,
Well, I suppose.
wake up.
Yeah. I got poked. You need me. Yeah, let's pull in Jeff Close. If Jeff Close wants to jump in,
Yes.
let's get Jeff Close. Let's see if I can find him, though, to reply, because he poked me. And, RE Racing call. Why am I blind? I really don't see him. Oh, there he is. He's in the lobby. That's why. Sure, come on down. Might as well. Let's go through it. Let's,
User joined your channel.
How's it going, Jeff?
Hello.
Hello. So that was unfortunate, I think. That's the only way I would describe it. But how did you feel about that race?
I'm so frustrated.
Yeah. I can
That
see
win
that.
was mine.
Yeah, for sure. It was a good recovery drive, but like, what happened in that incident from your perspective? Because we just caught a bit of it.
First of all, I had two incidents.
Okay.
The first one was caused by the game.
Hmm.
Every time when someone left the server, I had the huge lag spike. Like, my whole screen froze. And the second time it happened, the DPI was right behind me. On his screen, I just stood still.
Oh.
Luckily, nothing happened to him, but yeah, he hit me off. Damage, suspension damage, everything.
Hmm.
Need to pit, drop down to third.
Yeah.
Alright, no problem, can still fight back. I pushed like crazy, try to catch. I actually forgot who was in front of me at that time. I think it's Solo Spot, but yeah, once I entered the right kink, I saw him standing there. Yeah, the speed I got through the corner, there's no way I'm avoiding that.
Yeah.
I lost a tire, had huge damage, almost 300 seconds.
Hmm. Yeah,
Look before us, alright.
yeah, it was a good recovery drive, but yeah, I think you're definitely looking back at this thinking what could have been. So what's the plan now for Road America? Do you not Road America, but that's what we just did. What's your plan for Petit Le Mans? Looking forward at that.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we would love to have you there. I'll put it like that.
The team will decide who drives what and everything.
Well, tell the team that Christian from the VISC commentary team said you have to be there for the better good of the fan base or something.
The fan base?
Yeah, all the VISC fans, you know, millions across the world. Alrighty, Jeff. Well, better luck next time out there. You've definitely got the pace.
Alright, thank you, man.
No worries. See you around.
See you around.
User left your channel.
Well, folks, I think we will call it there. We'll wrap it up on that note.
And I guess we'll have to keep them updated on Twitter for the official rescheduling of Road Atlanta.
Yes.
We're at Road America. We're doing Road Atlanta.
Exactly.
It's the road leg of the season.
Yep. All the roads being driven on. But yeah, this Christian. I want to really thank you, Tom, for sticking through that with me. And with all that, I want to wish you all a pleasant adieu.
It was a